Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Everyone, sign up for the profession of Sword Immortal, open heaven with one sword. Chapter 81. At this moment, there was a coughing sound in the big tree. A young man who looked a little unruly looked at his inner demon and said, "If you want to go to the outside world, I might be able to help you." He turned out to be Situ Yun, who was tortured to death by Yi Qing, but his words and deeds now were completely different from before. It was Situ Yun who was lodged by the demon god's soul. Situ Yun's original soul was swallowed by the demon god's soul. The inner demon was shocked and said, "You, a foreigner, why do you look different? Your soul." The inner demon just looked into the soul of the demon god, and his eyes suddenly exploded and turned into blood mist. "You actually sealed the existence in that place, how did you do it?" At this moment, there was a sound of clapping in the distance, and Yi Qing looked at the two of them indifferently. "It's all together, just in time. It saves me the trouble of looking for it myself." He had planted formation patterns on everyone before, as long as that person made the slightest move. Yi Qing could detect it at any time and directly use the power of time and space to teleport here. Situ Yun looked at Yi Qing coldly and came to the inner demon, "We are no match for him, let's go." He was about to use his means to leave, but found that he couldn't move at all. Yi Qing smiled lightly, caressed Xiao Bai, and looked at the two of them indifferently. "How is it possible to run away? You are all going to die today." 9 flying swords appeared behind him, illusion god sword technique. Hundreds of phantom swords appeared all around, forming a strange formation and directly sealing off the area. Situ Yun had a cold expression on his face, and a faint light flashed in his eyes. "You ant still has some abilities, but I am a god, you can trap me." A ray of black light rushed out directly from Situ Yun's head, a tiny crack in space appeared, submerged into it, and disappeared. Situ Yun's eyes completely lost their light and collapsed to the ground. Yi Qing looked at the trapped inner demon and said, "Xiao Bai, keep an eye on it. I'll be back soon." Xiao Bai nodded, his 9 tails swayed, and he jumped directly to a big tree nearby. Yi Qing activated the power of time and space and disappeared. Above the blue sea, the waves are rough and huge waves are photographed. The surrounding wind howled, and a black light group emerged from a space crack. "This kid is definitely a huge variable. We have to find a way to deal with him." After saying that, he turned into a stream of light and flew towards Zhongbei City. This turned out to be the coast of Zhongnan province, and the demon's divided soul came directly here. Just when the demon god's soul flew more than 10 miles away, it hit a barrier. "How is it possible? There is no such formation in this world." Yi Qing appeared in the sky, and there were flying swords in each direction. "It's too late to explain to you, so die." Immortal killing sword formation. The entire sea area was filled with boundless sword energy. The demon's divided soul looked horrified, and then exclaimed, "How on earth did you do that?" Countless sword energy slashed through it, and the black light became weaker and weaker. "Although I can't pass the message back, I have a hunch that we will run into each other sooner or later. I am a god, but you, a mere ant, can be crushed to death with just one finger." Listening to its screams and cries of sorrow, Yi Qing became very calm. Only a few seconds later, kill the demon's split soul and gain 200 million experience points. Seeing that the demon's divided soul did not drop any items, Yi Qing swept around and was about to disarm the immortal killing sword formation. As long as the Zhushan sword formation is not broken, it can always be activated. At this moment, a huge wave rushed over from the distance, and there was a huge existence inside. Roaring towards here, the sound was extremely shocking. Yi Qing threw an exploration technique. Kanghai Evil Dragon, Epic, level 200. Health volume, 18 billion. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. I didn't expect to encounter this thing here. The monster that caused the sea beast tide in Zhongnan province landed directly in Daxia a month later, destroying several cities one after another. Caused more than 1 million deaths. Yi Qing looked at his condition, and found that he still had 65% of his health and 32% of his mana remaining. Both the primordial saint body and the sword heart translucency consume a huge amount of money, even in seconds, and now Xiao Bai is not by his side. A Huishan Dan appeared in his hand and he stuffed it directly into his mouth, restoring his status to full. Kanghai Evil Dragon looked at the Zhushan sword formation and felt a huge threat, so he did not enter easily. An epic monster with extremely high IQ. Yi Qing saw that the opponent was still slow to enter the formation, the flying sword and time were suspended, and the cooling time had not yet expired. Holding the heavenly demon sword in his hand, he slashed out a huge sword energy, slashing the sky and drawing the sword technique. He slashed directly at Kanghai Evil Dragon, and a huge scar suddenly appeared. Yi Qing had to lure him into the battle, otherwise he wouldn't be able to kill it at all. Kanghai Evil Dragon seemed to know Yi Qing's intention and jumped directly into the sea and disappeared. Yi Qing was a little helpless. This thing is really hard to fool. The Zushan sword formation was immediately released, a sword box appeared behind him, and all the flying swords flew back into the sword box. Activating the power of time and space, Yi Qing returned to the Qingzhaoe dungeon. Beside the Qingshui River, the grass and trees are green, and under a big tree, Xiaobai controls his inner demons. Yi Qing suddenly appeared, and Xiaobai instantly jumped onto Yi Qing's shoulders. The inner demon looked at Yi Qing with fear in his eyes. I didn't expect that you are the one who hides the deepest. Trapped heart formation. Yi Qing threw out hundreds of monster cores above level 50, and countless dense formation patterns covered the body of the inner demon. A huge lightsaber appeared at his feet. Yi Qing lifted up his inner demon and flew towards the courtyard at the foot of Qingshui Town Mountain. Dozens of sword marks flew from a distance, directly smashing Situ Yun's body into pieces. In the courtyard, Yi Ling sat aside, wondering what he was thinking. Seeing the huge lightsaber in the sky turning into little bits of light and dissipating, Yi Qing grabbed a person and fell into the courtyard. Yi Ling came forward and said, "Why did you disappear all of a sudden just now? Isn't this the boy? The inner demon is in him and has been sealed by me." Yi Qing walked towards the house. Taoist priest Qingshu had woken up and was sitting cross-legged on the bed, watching Yi Qing walk in. "Thank you for saving my life, little friend. He paused for a moment, saw the inner demon beside him, and finally sighed helplessly. On the other bed, Su Yuehua was curled up. He must have woken up, but he didn't dare to face Yi Qing. Yi Qing threw his inner demon on the floor and looked at Taoist Master Qingshu. "Aren't you telling the truth? What on earth is going on?" Taoist priest Qingshu's complexion has improved a bit and is no longer as pale as before. This may be due to the Huishan pill. He sat up directly, looked at the inner demon on the ground, and fell into memories. He recounted, "That happened 80 years ago. At that time, I was entrusted by the master to guard Tongtianao. After that, I came here, on the mountain behind Qingshui town, and practiced with all my heart. However, after more than 10 years, my strength reached a bottleneck. No matter how I practiced, I couldn't make progress. Then I made a bold decision, that is, I secretly practiced the forbidden technique, letting go of the dark side of my heart and turning it into my inner demon." Yi Qing sat on the wooden chair and listened quietly. On the other side, Yi Ling entered the room at some point and listened to the story told by Taoist Qingshu with great interest. Taoist Master Qingshu continued, "After the inner demon left the body, my cultivation level has improved rapidly, but the inner demon that has left the body cannot be controlled. It entered the town and clung to people's hearts. There was no trace of it at all, and I couldn't bear to kill anyone." He glanced at Yi Qing and said, "Until yesterday, when I met my little friend, I made up my mind to die with my inner demons. Over the years, I have killed many people because of my inner demons." The inner demon who fell on the ground looked at Taoist Master Qingshu with disdain. "What the winner says is always right. I have nothing to say." Yi Qing looked outside the house. The dark clouds dispersed, and a 7-color rainbow rose and hung across the sky, looking particularly beautiful. Although the river god is gone, there will still be river god festivals in the future. The rotten rules have been engraved in the hearts of these people. Turning his head, Yi Qing looked at Taoist priest Qingshu, and then at Su Yuehua who was curled up beside him. "Taoist priest, she is extremely talented, just accept her as your disciple." Taoist Master Qingshu nodded. "I promise you, but the favor I owe you will be repaid." Yi Qing grabbed the inner demon with one hand, walked out of the courtyard, and shouted to Yi Ling, "Let's go." When Yi Ling came back to his senses, he was still thinking about what the demon said and whether Taoist Master Qingshu was a good person. After hearing what Yi Qing said, he followed him directly. Outside the courtyard gate, watching the two people walking away, Dao Qingshu let out a long sigh. If you are wrong, you are wrong. Even if you change it, you still had selfish thoughts before. The river god is no longer here, and you have taken away the inner demons. There is no need to exist here anymore. There will be no river god festival in the future. I will take all the residents above Qingshui town and move to other places, and then return to the master to apologize. Su Yuehua stared blankly until Yi Qing's figure disappeared. The guilt in her heart might remain buried deep in her heart. Walking through the somewhat depressed streets, we came to the Qingshui River. Watching the gurgling flow of the river, Yi Ling looked at Yi Qing. He asked doubtfully, is Taoist Master Qingshu hiding something? Yi Qing looked at the inner demon floating behind him. Explain it, and then you can die. I can hide in people's hearts, and I will be trapped in their hearts forever. Qingshu took the initiative to put me into the town in order to imprison me. Otherwise, I would have left here long ago. The formation that can trap the river god cannot trap me at all. The inner demon sighed, and then said nothing. It simply believed that Yi Qing had the ability to kill it. Yi Ling's mouth grew bigger. So that's it, this old guy's scheming is really terrifying. A red sky sword appeared in Yi Qing's hand, directly cutting the inner demon into pieces, and a system prompt appeared. Defeat the inner demon and gain 100 million experience points. A wisp of black energy crashed around and was trapped by the sword array formed by sword marks. Yi Qing chopped the black energy into pieces again. Defeat the inner demon and gain 50 million experience points. A weak black energy rushed around, and words came from inside. Don't waste your efforts, there is no way you can kill me. How come I don't know? Yi Qing smiled slightly and looked at Yi Ling. Go and chop it into pieces. Although Yi Ling was a little hesitant, he still did as he was told. A long sword appeared in his hand and directly chopped off the inner demon. Lights of light erupted from her body one after another, rising directly from level 16 to level 19. Yi Ling was a little surprised. It was the first time she felt that upgrading was so simple. A white porcelain bottle appeared in Yi Qing's hand, with countless strange patterns on it, exuding little bits of brilliance. He directly took the extremely weak inner demon in, sealed the mouth of the bottle, and put it into the immortal killing gourd. He planned to turn the inner demon into medicine and refine it directly. At this moment, 4 light pillars appeared around the Qingshui River, rising into the sky. Ding! The Qingshui River copy is about to collapse and will no longer exist. It will be automatically transmitted to the outside world in 10 seconds. Yi Qing looked at the 4 beams of light. The formation that trapped the river god was released by Qingshu. The 2 people turned into 2 rays of light and disappeared. On the outskirts of Kyoto, on a low hill, the formation inside the house lit up. 2 figures appeared. After that, the formation on the ground made a cracking sound and broke into pieces, turning into dots of glittering light that scattered around. Outside the house, an old man stared at this scene dumbfounded, and then felt relieved. Finally, this replica that harmed people no longer exists. Yi Qing walked out of the room and looked at the setting sun in the distance, the sunset filling the sky. Looking back, he looked at Yi Ling. I will go to Yi's house tomorrow. You can arrange for someone to pick me up in the morning. After saying that, he walked towards the distance, his figure getting further and further away until he disappeared. A trace of joy flashed in Yi Ling's eyes. That's great. The old man on the side asked, how on earth did you clear the death dungeon? No one has succeeded in so many years. Yi Ling didn't want to say anything more and walked directly down the mountain. Back at Kyoto University, Yi Qing collapsed directly on the sofa. Although this copy was not dangerous, it revealed a lot of doubts buried deep in my heart. Charge the phone with a dead black screen and then turn it on. June 25, 7:30 p.m. Then I received a series of messages one after another, including news push notifications, missed calls and text messages from acquaintances. All the monsters on the coast of Jiangnan province completely retreated. They were suspected of being frightened, the alarm was lifted, and the tide of sea monsters retreated towards the Sakura country. An unknown copy was discovered in the western Xinjiang region, and a large number of professionals have gone there. Yi Qing closed the news feed and opened the message. The first one was from Lin Kui, saying that he would have to train and practice for a long time, and would contact him again when he had time. The next few messages were all sent by Mirong Shui and Nangong Ru. The combat department of Kyoto University is conducting a group mission. Where have you been? Luo Chu, the teacher of the combat department, wrote down your name in the notebook again. Yi Qing was a little speechless. Most of the freshmen at Kyoto University were level 15 transfers for the first time. He is already level 42, and he still has Tianling Dan. He is about to transfer to level 50 for the second time, and he cannot grow at all in the dungeon in a group. He did not reply to the message, but began to take stock of the harvest. There are too many things to do in Qingzhaoe dungeon, and I only have some time now. Looking at the 1 billion experience points in the sign-in system, this is the first harvest. If all of them are signed in, their strength will be greatly improved. Next is the Tianling pill, which can be taken 3 times below level 50, and each pill taken will increase the level by 1. Yi Qing waved his hand, and all the items dropped by the river god appeared on the table. Babel Suit Demigod can be equipped at level 85. Effect of 1 piece. All basic attributes plus 38,000. 3 effects. Skill attack plus 150%, self-defense plus 150%, attack speed plus 150%, movement speed plus 150%. 5-piece effect. Summons a level 120 semi-divine Ao Tianao for combat, which lasts for 10 minutes and has a cooldown time of 24 hours. Yi Qing looked at the Tongtian suit. What terrible attributes it had. It was worthy of being a demigod level suit. Even a single piece of it has properties that exceed those of epic equipment, let alone a set. He could also summon Tongtian out to fight, which was a demigod level monster. Even Yi Qing had to use his trump card. Otherwise, you can't beat it at all. Career advancement card epic, it can advance your career potential to SS level. Tongtianao Court Demigod, it can be used to forge equipment, and can also be used to engrave various formations. It is an excellent material. Ancient Scroll Myth, a scroll from the ancient secret realm. After opening it, you can randomly obtain a skill of the demon god. Looking at the other items, Yi Qing hesitated. This career advancement card is an item I've known about for a long time, but this ancient scroll. Yi Qing was a little afraid of the demon god, but even a split soul was extremely powerful, so he was not sure whether this scroll was a chess piece left by the demon god. Sighing, he put away the items on the table. Looking at the check-in system, there are billions of experiences. First redeem 10 skill upgrade cards, and then redeem the weapon refiner's sub-profession. Then he also bought some return to heaven pills and the best strengthening stones, using 200 million experience points. For random check-ins, these improvements are real for strength. Yi Qing felt a little dizzy as he inherited the sub-professional profession of weapon refiner. Before I even started signing in, I collapsed on the sofa and fell asleep. Early the next morning, at dawn, there was a rapid knock on the door. Yi Qing rubbed his temples, his eyes a little dazed, and turned on his phone. It was only 5 o'clock in the morning. It's so complicated to be in weapon refiner. Opening the door, Yi Ling was waiting anxiously outside the door. His eyes were a little red, maybe because he hadn't slept all night. You forgot what you said yesterday. We have been waiting for a long time. Let's go quickly. Yi Qing looked at his washed white shirt and simple clothes. Is this appropriate? No one will dislike you, let's go. Yi Ling grabbed Yi Qing's arm, and the two of them went directly downstairs. A black luxury car was parked here. After getting in the car, Yi Ling got into the driver's seat. The vehicle was moving quickly. Half an hour later, we arrived at an incredibly huge manor, surrounded by strange vegetation and looking very extraordinary. There are also some professional gardeners pruning the grass and trees. Yi Qing sat absent-mindedly in the car, counting the days in his mind. That person should have been kicked out of the Daxia Research Institute recently. Just when Yi Qing was thinking about things, the vehicle stopped in front of a building. The building was extremely luxurious. Yi Qing walked out of the car door and looked at the faint lines on the ground. The entire Yi family was enveloped by a huge formation, and Yi Qing knew this formation. It's called the Four Elephants Formation. It has the 4 elements of wind, forest, and volcano. It can be used for offense or defense. This large-scale formation requires incalculable manpower and resources. What are you doing standing there? Go in. Seeing Yi Qing in a daze, Yi Ling hurriedly shouted with a very urgent expression. Yi Qing entered the building and faced the huge and luxurious living room. There were 3 people sitting at a table, talking to each other. The burly old man sitting in the main seat turned out to be Yi Qingkang, the 3rd-ranked god of war in the Great Summer ranking. His aura was completely restrained, but he was still very majestic. Yi Tianxing and his wife looked on. Yi Qing sat down and glanced at the 3 of them. Some strange feelings arose in his heart. It's as if these people are pretending. During this meal, Yi Qing's eyes kept glancing at Nangongya, who was picking up food for him, feeling very out of place. Although he looked concerned on the surface and kept asking Yi Qing various things, there was something missing in his eyes. This meal was spent in seemingly enthusiastic circumstances. Yi Qing stood up quickly, not wanting to stay in this awkward and weird atmosphere any longer. I plan to enter the dungeon today, so I'll leave first. After saying that, he left here directly and walked out of the door of Yi's house. Looking at Yi Qing's retreating figure, Yi Ling muttered in a low voice, it must be that Yi Qing is used to being withdrawn and is still not used to this atmosphere. The other 3 looked at each other with a strange look in their eyes. After dinner, in a study room of the Yi family, surrounded by formations, Yi Qingkang, Yi Tianxing and Nangongya sat facing each other. Grandpa, did Yi Qing discover something? I feel like something is wrong with his expression. Yi Tianxing asked anxiously. Probably not, he probably just wasn't used to it. A faint smile appeared at the corner of Nangongya's mouth. Yi Qingkang said nothing and looked at Nangongya. You were right, he is definitely a genius, and he is almost reaching the 2nd rank. During the investigation, Zhongbei City began to awaken to the profession on June 1st. Today, June 26th, it has reached this level in less than a month. It is really amazing. Nangongya restrained her smile. Why don't we just recruit him into the Yi family? Why bother? Her profession is a hidden profession, the Great Celestial Master, which can predict some future events and personal destiny. Every time she takes the college entrance examination, she will calculate all the people in SSS level professions and hidden professions. Then the news was sold to major families in Daxia at extremely high prices. This time, she counted a super special existence, Yi Qing. When calculating Yi Qing's future fate, every calculation is different. For the first time, he calculated that he was an extremely ordinary person. Nangongya found something was wrong. A person with a hidden profession, even if that profession is rubbish, is destined to be extraordinary. After that, the 2nd calculation began. This time, Yi Qing will be the strongest person in the entire Blue Star with his swordsmanship of gods in the future. After that, Nangongya kept the news without selling it, and then told Yi Qingkang. Yi Qingkang is the 3rd strongest man on the Great Sha God list. His strength is terrifying to the extreme. He is the one who speaks the truth throughout the Yi family. A person like Yi Qing is too lonely. I can guarantee that he will not join any force. Only by binding him with family ties can he be tied to the Yi family. There must be no problems with my plan. Yi Qingkang picked up the teacup and took a sip. His eyes glowed with wisdom, which was incompatible with his burly body. But what if Yi Qing doesn't believe it? Our work has been in vain. Yi Tianxing had some doubts, and he couldn't guess what Yi Qingkang was thinking. No, I investigated Yi Qing's past in detail, and then secretly observed him for 2 days, and found that he is a person who desperately longs for family affection. I'm going back to the abyss to guard. It's up to you to handle the follow-up matters. Don't get involved. Yi Qingkang put down the teacup and said all this calmly. After leaving the Yi family, Yi Qing walked on the broad street, surrounded by bustling scenes. Looking at the bustling crowd and the children playing around, a trace of loneliness flashed in Yi Qing's eyes. He longed for family affection so much that he lost some thoughts. Actions can be faked, words can be disguised, but eyes can't. When Yi Qing was in Qingshui town before, he saw the look in Chen Li's eyes. She completely gave up everything for the safety of her daughter. What a passionate motherly love that is. At that moment, Yi Qing's heart was touched, so he decided to help Su Yuehua. As for Yi Qing, he didn't see any of this in Nangongya's eyes. There was only falsehood and pretense. A wry smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, thinking, if I hadn't suffered those hardships and tortures in my previous life, I might not have noticed it at all, and finally accepted it all calmly. Sometimes, knowing the truth will actually be more painful, and living in falsehood may be happier. Instead of returning to Kyoto University, he went to Suncheon Auction House and sold a few items. The Daxia coins in my hand are not enough. It's okay in the dungeon, but I need money to do anything in the outside world. Turn on the phone, June 26, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yi Qing's eyes were filled with thoughts. It should be today. That person is about to reach the lowest point in his life. Walking towards the center of Kyoto, that is the direction of the Professionals Association. The Professionals Association is the strongest force in the entire Great Sha, initiated by the 4 top aristocratic families. All the big and small forces in Daxia have a quota in the Professionals Association, which is equivalent to joining it. All professionals will join it. Even the powerful ones on the Great Sha God list are registered in the Professionals Association. Even Yi Qing had his name listed in the Professionals Association the moment he entered the heavenly ranking. When we came to the building of the Professionals Association, some soldiers were guarding the door. They were all powerful men above level 150. One of them blocked Yi Qing's path. He seemed to know Yi Qing. What do you want? It's not easy to enter here. My position on the top list is about to be moved up. I need to go in and register. I have cleared the Qingzhaoe dungeon. Yi Qing said calmly. What? That legendary copy of death was cleared by you. Please come with me. The soldier made a sound of surprise, and then led Yi Qing into the building and arrived at a relatively large room on the 4th floor. A middle-aged man wearing glasses sat there and read the information. This is Yi Qing. He wants to adjust his position on the heavenly ranking. The soldier saluted and then retreated. Yi Qing stood behind, looking at the middle-aged man. Zhang Daqian, level 250. When Zhang Daqian saw Yi Qing, he stood up and walked over. Without putting on any airs, he said gently, you must be Yi Qing. There are only 2 ways to change your position on the heavenly ranking. One is to reach the standard of strength and defeat the person in front of you, and the other is to do some big things. Yi Qing nodded. You should have a simulation warehouse here. I want to challenge the others. Zhang Daqian nodded. He also wanted to see Yi Qing's strength. Come with me. The 2 of them turned left and right in the Professionals Association and came to a room full of metal. Zhang Daqian looked at the screen in front of him. Put your hand up to register it and update your current data at the same time. Yi Qing put his hand on the screen and felt slightly cold. After more than 10 seconds, the screen made a mechanical sound. Professor, Yi Qing, level 42. Occupation: Red Dust Sword Fairy. Quote. Zhang Daqian's eyes widened, his face full of shock. You were level 29 a few days ago, and you upgraded so quickly. It seems you still don't know what happened yesterday. I cleared the Qingzhaoe dungeon and there are still some videos on my phone. Yi Qing said calmly. Then he walked into the simulation warehouse, which was very wide, like a huge arena. A ray of light began to sweep across his body, and Yi Qing frowned slightly. This is copying one's own shadow for others to challenge. Activate the power of time and space to hide the skills of Zanhuang Tizun and the skill of Hong Chen Ji Sword. He touched the little fox and told it not to use skills, just watch it. At the same time, he only equipped himself with the Red Sky Sword, and unequipped the other 8 flying swords together with the sword box, the Immortal Killing Gourd and the Immortal Killing Sword formation first. All your own data will be recorded in the simulation warehouse, and others can see your own property panel. And there were videos all around, so Yi Qing didn't want to expose too much. Then let the simulation chamber scan the body data. Ding, the scan was successful. Your ranking is 22nd. You can only challenge the 21 street. The information is as follows. Schalinger, level 50, occupation, Night Walker. Event. After fighting a level 50 legendary monster for a day and a night, the monster died without losing a drop of blood. A young girl appeared opposite Yi Qing, with a single ponytail tied high and a short sword in her hand. He looks very sweet, with a slight smile on his lips. Suddenly the surroundings were completely dark, and I couldn't see my fingers. The Red Sky Sword appeared in Yi Qing's hand, and the sword's core was turned on. He walked continuously under his feet, and a steady stream of sword marks appeared. The sword marks actively lock the target and form a sword array. Yi Qing didn't even look at it. he just slashed out with his sword, slashing the sky and drawing the sword technique. The surrounding darkness breaks and light reappears. Sha Linger's shadow was split open and then dissipated. Zhang Daqian, who was outside the formation, watched Yi Qing's battle and then looked at Yi Qing's attributes, recording them on his hand. A level 30 epic suit, a growable flying sword, and such luxurious configurations, these are estimated to cost more than $1 billion. And this skill is extremely lethal. It can also lock on to the target and ignore defense. This profession is too powerful. However, the shortcomings are also obvious. The mana consumed by the skill is too large, and the mana will reach the bottom after just a few moves. It's still a bit too fragile, but the death resistance skill perfectly solves this problem. However, these messy sub-professions are really too complicated. They all require a huge amount of knowledge to be accumulated. Yi Qing is still too young, so he still has to improve his strength. In the simulation warehouse, Yi Qing began to challenge the next opponent, ranked 20th on the heavenly ranking. Li Chuang, level 50, occupation, Xuanwu Shield Guard. Event, resisted a level 65 legendary monster for 3 hours and was unscathed. The opponent was a big fat man holding a shield bigger than himself. Standing there motionless, a huge Xuanwu shadow appeared. Faced with this kind of main defense, Yi Qing ignored the defense and directly restrained the opponent. Kill him instantly with one sword, and then challenge the next one. Killing various opponents all the way, Yi Qing directly reached the 10th place. Fang Hua, level 85, occupation, natural mage. Event, I have a steady stream of recovery power, and I fight 6 level 85 legendary monsters at the same time, and finally kill all the monsters. She is a very peaceful-looking woman, wearing a green dress. He took a step forward and was surrounded by a sea of flower. Yi Qing was holding the scarlet sky sword, standing in a sea of flowers, and could still smell the fragrance all around. Talent turns out to be a rare domain skill, but it's easy to handle. The sword marks in front of the body form a bagua pattern to protect oneself. The scarlet sky sword flew out directly and turned into dozens of phantom swords. In an instant, countless scarlet sky sword chi filled the entire sea of flowers. Just a few seconds later, the sea of flowers was destroyed by sword energy, under the sword formation composed of dozens of phantom swords. Fang Hua was directly chopped into pieces and turned into a shadow and disappeared. Yi Qing looked at the sky list and saw that his ranking had reached 10th. Instead of continuing, he closed the virtual warehouse and walked out. Zhang Daqian looked at Yi Qing with a face full of surprise. I didn't expect you to be so strong. You cleared the Qingzhaoe dungeon and registered your challenge opponents. Now you are ranked 10th on the heavenly ranking. He was shocked in his heart. According to his speculation, Yi Qing should have run out of mana, otherwise he could have risen by 2 places. The 7th place on the heavenly ranking was level 120, and he didn't think Yi Qing could beat it. Yi Qing nodded. Can I hang out in the association? Would you like me to take you for a walk and learn about the various magical instruments of the professional association? Zhang Daqian looked at Yi Qing and said proactively. Yi Qing shook his head. No need. Okay, I'll give this to you. As long as it's not a particularly confidential place, you can go in. Zhang Daqian handed Yi Qing a badge with the word, Tian, engraved on it. Yi Qing took the badge and walked in another direction. Zhang Daqian looked at Yi Qing's back and fell into deep thought. With the support of the Yi family and his own talents, it is no accident that he will become a powerful demigod in the future. It seems that he will make great efforts to make friends with him. Inside the Professionals Association, in a research institute, a dull young man wearing a white coat and glasses held 2 metal test tubes in his hands. His name is Chen Hun, and he is a researcher of the Professionals Association. He has a very special life profession, an origin master, and can see through the essence of everything. Looking at the items in it with wild eyes, success, this research can be enough for me to be promoted. At this moment, a somewhat obese middle-aged man walked in and coughed softly. Chen Huan turned his head, still holding 2 test tubes in his hand. Looking at this man, he suddenly felt a little cautious. Director Liu, I have something to tell you. Just in time, I have something to tell you. You have been fired and your position will be replaced by Lu Min. Director Liu said loudly. Chen Hun's face was full of shock. Are you kidding me? I am so diligent and have stayed up countless days and nights. You want to fire me? Is it just because she is your niece? This is not fair." His voice was hysterical, echoing in the research room. Researchers within the professional association can be said to have very good remuneration, free housing, and top-notch salaries. Xiao Chen, her younger brother, is a combat professional, and is SS level. He just entered Tunghai University this year. You have no background whatsoever, and you still want to compete with her. Do you know what an SS level combat profession means? The future level 200 high-level professional, the patriarch of a medium-sized family, is just this level. Get out of here quickly, otherwise don't blame me for asking someone to invite you out. The obese director Liu shouted loudly that his nephew was SS level, which meant that his status had also risen. Some colleagues looked at him with more respect. He looked down at Chen Hun. Why are you still standing there? Why don't you get out of here quickly? Chen Hun walked out of the research room in despair and walked towards the locker room. Looking at Chen Hun's back, Director Liu smiled disdainfully and walked towards the back. The moment he turned back, an indifferent young man walked over not far away. He was dressed in ordinary clothes and had a white nine-tailed fox lying on his shoulders. Yi Qing was also looking at the back. Director Liu immediately recognized Yi Qing. He was the top scorer in the college entrance examination and had a bright future. The Yi family was standing behind him. A flattering look suddenly appeared on his face. He would be prosperous if he flattered this person, he said respectfully. Why are you here? Come to the office and sit down. I'll make you tea. Yi Qing shook his head. No need. What was the name of that person just now? His name is Chen Hun. He did some trivial research. He made a mistake a few days ago and is now fired. Director Liu explained. Facing Yi Qing, he was cautious, for fear of offending him. Yi Qing nodded, ignored this person and walked forward. Some memories kept flashing through my mind. Chen Hun, the founder of the God Research Institute, will achieve the first shocking achievement in the future, artificial gods. Later, he borrowed the power of this god to create 10 terrifying monsters, which could compete with the 10 war gods of Daxia. In the further future, Great Sha was in turmoil and gods were rampant. He relied on that man-made god to directly join the foreign land. Chen Hun also gained a high status. What's funny is this time period. No one can see his potential, and all his research results have been faked. Yi Qing left the Professionals Association. This time, the soldiers around him didn't even check and let him go. On the street not far away, Yi Qing was holding a badge with the word, Tian, in his hand, which was a symbol of status. It's somewhat useful, but it's a pity that there is a monitoring device inside. Just throw the badge into the storage space to collect dust. Chen Hun walked out of the Professionals Association, his face full of unwillingness and loneliness. Walking towards home, thinking of his gentle wife at home, there was some light in Chen Hun's eyes. His pace quickened a bit, but he thought that he would be expelled and his house would soon be repossessed by the Professionals Association. Suddenly he looked sad and sighed. What should I do now? I can't afford a house in Kyoto, so I can only rent a house with her first. After walking for half an hour, we came to a beautiful community surrounded by birds and flowers. Chen Hun came to the door of his house and felt a chill in his heart when he heard a gasping and moaning sound coming from inside. He pushed open the door and walked into the bedroom. He saw a man and a woman rolling on the bed. You, what are you doing? Looking at his usually gentle wife, Chen Hun's eyes were filled with disbelief that she could be so wanton. Still in front of him, Chen Hun was trembling all over, but he didn't dare to take action at all because the man was a combat professional. The man stood up directly, gave Chen Hun a mocking look, and slowly put on his clothes, as if he was provoking. Chen Hun's wife changed from her usual gentleness and had a look of disgust on her face. She exclaimed and screamed, "Why did you come back so early? Aren't you supposed to be working at this time? I'm fired." At this moment, Chen Hun felt extremely depressed. What? So this residence will no longer be ours, you loser. A month's salary is not as valuable as a piece of equipment that Brother Wang casually bought. Her voice was sharp, and every word hurt Chen Huan's heart. Chen Hun watched his wife get dressed, pack her luggage, and then snuggle into the man's arms and go away. He knelt on the ground and beat the floor wildly, not even noticing the blood flowing from the tiger's mouth. At this moment, He hated that he had no strength, hated that he was not a combat professional, hated that he had no courage and did not dare to fight the opponent desperately. At this moment, more than a dozen people walked into the room. One of them looked at the report sheet in his hand and said coldly, "Chen Hun, this is a house within the Professionals Association. You have been fired. You have 3 days to move out." After saying this, those people ignored the devastated Chen Hun and left directly. They have seen too much of this situation. Chen Hun walked out of the room in despair. He was completely desperate. It was getting dark, and a dark cloud blocked the moonlight. The lights in the city are twinkling and the traffic is busy. A dark corner of the street. Chen Hun was leaning on a bench, holding a bottle of wine in his hand, feeling hungover from the street. He had nothing left, and he suffered major changes in one day, making him feel that the world was full of filth. Yi Qing looked at it from a distance and felt that it was almost done. Walking towards Chen Hun, he snapped his fingers and a gust of wind blew by, causing the treetops to sway. The two disappeared. In the darkness, Chen Hun gradually woke up. Looking at the scenes around him, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. Under the huge change, he was already despairing. An indifferent voice came from the side, "Chen Hun, I think we can cooperate." "What? Who are you?" Chen Hun was a little confused, but soon a light appeared in the darkness. A handsome young man with a little fox lying on his shoulder. Holding a luminous stone in his hand, surrounded by weeds and trees. "This is no longer in the city." Yi Qing's eyes were calm and he said calmly, "I want to set up a research institute and invite you to join today." Chen Hun was obviously taken aback and frowned slightly. "Institute, please invite me." Yi Qing smiled slightly, "Yes, I will provide all the funds. I sincerely invite you to join." "Does the institute have a name?" "No, but if you join, it will be called the Divine Research Institute." Hearing these 5 words, Chen Hun's heart seemed to be touched, and a light flashed through his dull eyes. He had nowhere to go now, so he simply nodded, "I agree." A faint smile appeared on Yi Qing's lips, "Welcome to join." I felt secretly happy in my heart. I didn't expect it to be so easy to pull a future big force onto my ship. This is a very remote hill in Kyoto, and the entrance to the Qingshui River dungeon is at the top of the mountain. But now there is no longer this copy, and the old man who guarded the formation on the mountain has also left. This place has completely turned into a barren mountain. Yi Qing plans to build a research institute here, but it will be underground. Chen Hun looked at the young man in front of him, lost in thought, and the surroundings suddenly became quiet. He said, "I'm going home to pick up some information and some important items, and then I'll come here to find you." Yi Qing nodded in agreement and handed him a card. "There are 20 million in it, which is considered your overdraft salary." Chen Hun took it blankly. He was shocked that this man believed in him so much. Dawn is approaching, the surrounding sky is slightly brighter, and it is not so dark anymore. Looking at Chen Hun's back, Yi Qing stroked Xiaobai. "Go, follow him quietly, monitor his every move, and catch him if he runs away. If there is no abnormality, and we finally come back here, we will arrest the adulterer and the adulterous couple." Xiaobai nodded slightly and disappeared. Yi Qing looked at the surrounding scenery. "If you want to build a research institute, it will require a lot of time and materials. Open the sign-in system and there are 800 million experience left. Check in 20 times in a row." 100 million experiences disappeared instantly, followed by a series of prompts. Sign in successfully and get the space cruiser. Sign in successfully and obtain the Interstellar Research Laboratory. Sign in successfully and obtain the Space Core. Sign in successfully and get the Hongmeng Pearl. Sign in successfully, get. After signing in 20 times in a row, Yi Qing looked at the items he got from signing in. There are some strange props and some items that are obviously not Blue Star's technology. Hongmeng Pearl Initial White can grow equipment. Introduction. It was destroyed by a catastrophe countless years ago. It is currently in its initial state and can be repaired by itself, but it will take a very long time. It contains the Hongmeng world inside, which can gradually expand as it repairs itself. After recognizing the master, all basic attributes will be +9999. Skill, Concealment. You can enter it at any time, and then hide in the Legacy of the Void, which can shield yourself from all secrets. Growth. Herbs grown internally will make pets grow extremely fast. Travel through time and space unavailable. Lord of Hongmeng unusable. Evolving chaos unusable. Yi Qing looked at the properties of this piece of equipment and was overjoyed. It was like carrying a small world with him. Take out the Hongmeng pearl directly, and countless strange rays of light flow inside, as if it contains countless worlds. Yi Qing directly recognized the master with a drop of blood, and entered the inner space. I vaguely saw a large, empty world and a continent. Step on the ground and grab a handful of soft dirt. Yi Qing felt a strange power enter his body, but there was no prompt on the attribute panel. It's not bad here, but it's a little too empty. Take out the Interstellar Research Laboratory and Space Cruiser. Then start setting up formations all around, and then plant all kinds of exotic flowers and plants. Looking at the barren ground, there is gradually more life. Yi Qing decided to collect more exotic flowers and plants to plant. He planted the seeds of the dream in the 7-color mist flower, and patted the soil on his hands. Looking at the Interstellar Research Laboratory not far away, Yi Qing walked directly into it. Suddenly there was an electronic mechanical sound, permission confirmed. Confirmation successful. Dear Master, do you have any instructions? Yi Qing scratched his head. This thing is quite smart. Tell me about your functions. Okay. A huge light screen appeared, and the fonts that were originally unknown changed rapidly. Looking at the series of functions, Yi Qing felt a little dizzy. Forget it, let Chen Hun study it later. Walking out of the research room, Yi Qing looked at the huge spaceship beside him. It was completely black and had a strange metallic texture. Entering it, it turned out to be intelligent, and a mechanical voice came out, "Welcome Master, do you have any instructions?" Yi Qing walked out of the space cruiser and left the Hongmeng Pearl space directly. When I came to the outside world, I sat on the top of a big tree branch and looked into the distance. What suddenly seemed to occur to you? Even if Chen Hun is sincerely cooperating, it would be bad if he has second thoughts in the future. Open the sign-in system, directed sign-in 20 times. The sign-in was successful and the loyalty GU was obtained. Sign in successfully and obtain the sutra for saving people. Sign in successfully and gain the skill of human puppet. The sign-in was successful and the soul contract was obtained. Sign in successfully and get the soul control pill. Looking at a series of prompts, these things are good, but the most important thing about Chen Hun is his research ability and his brain. Yi Qing looked at the effects of these things and found that only loyalty GU was the most suitable. Loyalty GU demigod, you can feed others the GU, subtly changing their will until they are completely loyal. As long as the person who eats the sub-GU is not stronger than the person who has the mother GU, he will never betray. A GU insect as white as jade appeared in Yi Qing's hand, with 2 pairs of wings on its back, and it rubbed Yi Qing's palm affectionately. As the sun sets in the west, dusk is approaching and the day is coming to an end. A white figure suddenly jumped out and landed on Yi Qing's shoulder. Beside, 2 heavy voices sounded, and 2 figures fell on the grass. Xiaobai shouted as if he was taking credit. Yi Qing nodded. It seems that Chen Hun is coming soon. Although a day was wasted, as long as Chen Hun comes here, it will not be a loss. In the distance, Chen Hun came here panting and covered in dust. There were several large boxes on his back, and I didn't know what was inside. He came to Yi Qing, put the box on the ground, and wiped the sweat from his head. Yi Qing jumped down from the tree. It seems you really want to cooperate with me. Of course, everything I own is broken, and now I have nothing. I hope you won't let me down. Chen Hun's eyes were firm. He just wanted to concentrate on his research and no longer thought about other things. Very good. Now let me give you a second gift and see what it is. Yi Qing pointed at the 2 unconscious people beside him. Chen Hun took a few steps forward and looked at the 2 people among the weeds, his eyes full of anger and hatred. He directly picked up the big stone on the side and threw it at the professional several times in a row. None of them broke through the professional's defense. Looking at his wife on the side, Chen Hun hesitated for a moment, but still did not make a move. Chen Hun sat down on the ground and said helplessly, "The gap between life professionals and combat professionals is really huge. Even if the other party has no ability to resist, I can't kill him." Yi Qing took a few steps forward. Sword marks appeared from behind him, forming a sword formation and directly chopped the professional into a pile of minced flesh. just when the sword array was about to rush towards Chen Hun's wife. Chen Hun shouted, "No, let her go." Although his wife betrayed him, Chen Hun still had feelings for her after living together for so many years. Okay. Yi Qing snapped his fingers, and the sword formation dissipated. Looking at Chen Hun's boxes, he directly put these things into the immortal killing gourd. Chen Hun suddenly felt dizzy and passed out. After waking up, I found myself in a deserted land, with some extremely bright flowers and plants planted not far away. There is a huge ship and a strange building beside it. Next to a few boxes. Yi Qing looked at the woman not far away, directly placed a loyalty GU in her body, and then activated the power of time and space. Place her in Chen Hun's original residence, and then return to Aishan. Enter the Hongmeng Pearl space. Looking at Chen Hun standing aside in a daze, he said, "Don't look, this is a dungeon, but there is no danger. Follow me." Yi Qing picked up a few boxes on the side and led Chen Hun into the interstellar research room. Chen Hun was directly given all the permissions to open it. Chen Hun looked at the internal structure of the research room with shock on his face. "It's amazing. I didn't expect you to have such a good place here. If I had told you earlier, I wouldn't have had the slightest hesitation." Yi Qing looked at Chen Hun. He was performing various operations very skillfully and wished he could get into scientific research right away. This fresh keeping room has a month's worth of food. Those exotic flowers and plants in the distance are highly poisonous. If you accidentally touch them, take one of the elixirs in the bottle next to them. Also, if you want to go out to the outside world, say, leave, silently in your heart, and when you come in, say, enter, silently. This is a sword energy pill. As long as it is crushed, the sword energy inside can kill professionals. It is used to save lives. After Yi Qing finished explaining some things, he walked out of the research room and walked towards the place where exotic flowers and herbs were planted. "I planted some herbs and was about to leave here." Xiaobai suddenly jumped to the ground, as if he didn't want to go out, and shouted softly to Yi Qing. "You said you are very comfortable here and feel that you are growing faster, so you should stay here for now." Xiaobai nodded, got into the exotic flowers and grasses, and guarded near the seven-colored mist flower and the flower of dreams. Yi Qing left the Hongmeng Pearl space and returned to his residence at Kyoto University. Sitting on the sofa and rubbing his eyebrows, he held a piece of white paper in his hand, writing and drawing. He said to himself, "This seems to have changed a lot of things. Working with Chen Mix, I don't know how the future God Research Institute will fare. Previously, I used the Zushan sword formation to frighten the Kanghai evil dragon, causing this level 200 epic monster to attack the Sakura kingdom." On the white paper in Yi Qing's hand, there was only one major event left in the near future. On July 1st, Linhai City will merge with the large-scale dungeon, and the entire city will fall into panic. Turn on your phone. Today is 8 p.m. on June 27th, and 3 days later it will be the day of dungeon fusion. Try to reach level 46 in these 2 days, and then take the Heavenly Spirit Pill and try to reach the peak of the first rank. Yi Qing turned on his mobile phone and looked at the internal copy of Kyoto University. There was nothing challenging about it. The highest one is the level 120 dungeon, Yinling Canyon, but it is just an ordinary level dungeon. Moreover, the interior has been cleaned many times, but nothing good can be found. Clear the customs here tomorrow, then cross the wilderness and head to Linhai City. After making the decision, Yi Qing lay on the bed and gradually fell asleep. The outside world caused a huge sensation because Yi Qing reached the 10th place on the heavenly ranking. He rose from 22 on the heavenly ranking to 10th in 1 day. Could it be that Yi Qing is hiding his strength? In a luxurious building in the Yi family, Yi Tianxing and Nangong Ya were talking to each other. A light flashed in Nangong Ya's eyes. "Let me just say that my calculation is not wrong. How can a person with divine potential stop at number 22 on the heavenly ranking?" Professional Association, a conference room. Yi Qing's skills and all attributes appeared on a huge light curtain. The surroundings were full of people, all of whom were senior executives of the professional associations. They were all spokespersons for the professional associations of major families. Behind each person represents a huge force. Everyone was discussing Yi Qing. This profession is really powerful, but it's a pity that he is from the Yi family and cannot be recruited. As long as the Yi family's god of war is here, you can't even think of making any small moves. The head of the Yi family stood up directly and looked at the others. Everyone has some fear in their eyes, and everyone has their own thoughts. The light curtain began to change, and the attributes and information of several other people appeared. Among them, there was no big force behind them, only Murong Shui, Chu Yang and Lu Hang. Originally there was Nangong Ru, but it was revealed that her mother was the sister of the head of the Long family. His father is the eldest son of the Nangong family. Although he has some conflicts with the Nangong family, there are some signs of easing now. Between the two major families, her background was too powerful, so no one targeted her. Chu Yang also has a hidden profession, but he was selected by the military, so don't think about it. In the end, Murong Shui was selected by the Shangguan family with the huge benefits promised by the Shangguan family. Lu Heng was selected by the Long family. Various forces crisscrossed Daxia, and Yi Qing had long expected this step, so he hid his strength. The next day, the sun rises and the morning light shines everywhere. Yi Qing woke up leisurely, washed up, and walked out of the room. Walked towards the entrance of Yinling Canyon, which is a level 120 dungeon. Even some senior students have to form a team to be sure of passing the level. The internal environment of Kyoto University is beautiful, with birds singing and flowers fragrant. Yi Qing went to the cafeteria first, asked for a few months' worth of food, and threw it into the Hongmeng Pearl space. On the road, a plump female teacher wearing a white coat looked at Yi Qing fiercely. Yi Qing, stop. She was Luo Chu, the teacher of the combat department, who was in charge of Yi Qing's class. Yi Qing turned around and looked at her calmly, a level 150 martial arts master. He said calmly, "Don't block the way, I have something else to do." That's how you talk to the teacher. You didn't even go to the first day of registration. Don't you think so little of me? Luo Chu's eyes were filled with anger, and her white hands blocked Yi Qing's path. In the virtual world, as long as you can beat me, you won't have to go to class in the future. A weird smile appeared at the corner of Yi Qing's mouth. Are you sure? Confirmed. Luo Chu's face was full of confidence. She had achieved 300 consecutive victories in the virtual world and had not lost yet. The two of them came to the library nearby, which was very quiet. Everyone around them was discussing the two of them. What's going on? I heard that teacher Luo Chu is going to challenge Yi Qing in the virtual world. Let's go and see the excitement. Although Yi Qing is ranked 10th on the heavenly ranking, I don't think he is teacher Luo Chu's opponent. Teacher Luo Chu is simply a myth in one-on-one combat. At this time, a slender student passed by and said, Teacher Luo Chu's body skills can compete with Shui Ying's. I have seen the two of them compete before. It was really exciting. A virtual world, an arena. Zhu Ying watched Yi Qing arrive and thought he was here for training. But when she saw Luo Chu not far away, she looked at Yi Qing with anger on her face. The surroundings were full of students watching the battle, all wanting to watch the duel between the two. At this moment, the space in the distance was distorted, and Zhao Chenkin's figure appeared and came to Zhu Ying's side. Old man, these two are dueling, let's just watch from the sidelines. He happened to be passing by here today and saw it all from beginning to end. Luo Chu is still one of his disciples. Luo Chu's strong body suddenly erupted and disappeared directly on the spot, turning into a roaring wind and rushing towards Yi Qing. Yi Qing's face was calm, he never retreated but advanced, and every step he took seemed to have a melody. Every time Luo Chu threw a punch, Yi Qing dodged it just right. It seems that you are quite capable. No wonder you dare to provoke me like this, Luo Chu said as he kicked Yi Qing with a flying kick. Yi Qing surprisingly did not retreat this time, or even move. You are too slow, the formation is starting. Yi Qing's footprints on the ground turned into formations and directly connected into a long rope. Luo Chu was surrounded and tied in place, her plump figure was clearly visible, and now she had no ability to resist. Horror flashed in Luo Chu's eyes. There is obviously no monster core here, how could you possibly set up the formation out of thin air? Yi Qing shook his head slightly without explaining, you lost. Everyone around was shocked. Yi Qing actually won, and it didn't look like he had any effort at all. Something's wrong. How did Yi Qing do it? Can formations be arranged in the virtual world? Everyone's face was filled with doubts. On the stage, Yi Qing clapped his hands, and the ropes transformed from the array pattern disappeared from Luo Chu's body. Yi Qing walked towards Zhao Chengqin. At this moment, there was a sound from behind, and Luo Chu launched another attack. You didn't defeat me with pure strength at all. You must have cheated. Everyone around was stunned in place, looking at this scene in surprise. Everyone thought that under this attack, Yi Qing would not have time to dodge and would definitely be kicked out of the virtual world. Luo Chu's fist passed through Yi Qing's body. She felt no force at all, and Yi Qing's figure disappeared with the wind. At this moment, Yi Qing pinched Luo Chu's neck and said, "Can teachers also sneak attacks? Are you still worthy of being a teacher?" Just as he was about to kill Hua directly, he broke her neck. Zhao Chengqin, who was on the side, walked over and said, "That's enough, that's it." Yi Qing threw Luo Chu under the ring, glanced at Zhao Chengqin, and exited the virtual world. Below the virtual arena, everyone started to make a noise. Yi Qing actually escaped. It's incredible. Did Yi Qing unknowingly set up the illusion array just now? My biggest question is how the formation is arranged inside the virtual world. Zhao Chengqin walked over from a distance, because Yi Qing has reached the level of a formation master and his mental power has been transformed. There was silence all around, and everyone was shocked. Luo Chu's eyes were full of disappointment. She actually lost, and she lost in a humiliating way. In Kyoto University Library, Yi Qing opened his eyes. Looking at Luo Chu lying on the table opposite, it's a waste of time. Just stand up. Walk towards the outside of the library. Suddenly, Yi Qing saw a young man flipping through a book under a row of bookshelves. He was wearing glasses. Runes flashed in his eyes from time to time, and suddenly his aura became stronger. It is Kyoto University's admissions teacher, Lu He. Yi Qing watched from the side and found that every time Lu He turned a page of the book, his strength increased slightly. After Lu He turned the last page, he suddenly looked up and saw Yi Qing not far away, showing a friendly smile. He greeted with a faint smile, "Yi Qing, are you still used to life at Kyoto University?" Yi Qing nodded slightly, took out a formation book from the bookshelf, and started reading. They were all about formation professionals, and Yi Qing quickly read through them based on their experiences. Putting the books back to their original places, Yi Qing turned on his phone. It was already 9 o'clock in the morning. After leaving the library, I saw Lu He still flipping through books selflessly. Yi Qing thought in his mind and made a bold guess. Lu He's innate skills should be related to reading books. Could it be that reading books can also increase attributes? That's probably it. Lu He's profession is called Wisdom Mage. It's not an elemental profession. There must be something special about it. Yi Qing was thinking as he came to the entrance of Yinling Canyon. There were a lot of people at the entrance, and the senior level had their own teams, and they were all discussing how to break the record. Next to the formation when entering the dungeon, there is a ranking list, dungeon clearance record, 80 hours. Everyone saw Yi Qing coming from a distance and stepped forward. "Yi Qing, team up with us. I guarantee you can pass the level easily." Yi Qing declined them all. "I'm used to traveling alone." After saying that, he walked directly into the formation. Others looked at each other. Although he is 10th on the heavenly ranking, it is impossible to pass the level quickly. For that record, there are 2 SSS level professions in the team, and the rest are all SS level, and they are all level 120. I think it will be good if Yi Qing can pass the level. While everyone around was talking, they also entered the copy one after another. The Yinling Canyon is full of ghosts, and the screams of Ruan people can be heard from time to time. A cold air rushed towards my face, and there were gusts of cold wind blowing. In the darkness, you can occasionally see a few pale will-o'-the-wisps floating in the air, scurrying around. The valley was filled with fog, making the vision even more blurry. Yi Qing stepped on a black rock and looked at the scene around him. He clapped his hands and 9 flying swords appeared behind him. I obtained 3 flying swords from the Lord of Nightmares, which were replaced by Reverse Scale, Dragon Roar, and Nether Demon Sword. The remaining 6 flying swords are Zushan, Qishao, Yudian, Yugong, Tianyao, and Hangguang. Yi Qing watched the 9 flying swords flying everywhere. The light of the swords looked particularly bright in the darkness. Turn on the moonlight special effect, and the surrounding area suddenly becomes brighter, surrounded by a large area of dilapidated mass graves. Above each cemetery, there are ghostly white will-o'-the-wisps floating. These will-o'-the-wisps actually began to take the form of humans, each of them with dull eyes and pale faces. Attracted by the moonlight phenomenon, they all gathered around Yi Qing. Yi Qing through exploration technique. Ghost. Level 120. HP. 170,000. Attack. 2,300. Defense. 4,000. Skills. Virtualization, ghostly flame, confusion. These ghosts spurted white flames from their mouths and attacked Yi Qing. 9 flying swords formed the 9 palace sword formation. Between the sword energy, all the flames and ghosts were chopped into pieces. A series of prompts appeared on Yi Qing's side. Kill the ghost and gain 9,500 experience points. Kill the ghost and gain 9,500 experience points. As Yi Qing walked forward, sword marks appeared from behind, gradually forming a huge Bagua pattern. Nowadays, level 120 monsters can be killed easily in seconds even if the sword heart is not turned on. There seemed to be an endless supply of ghosts all around, rushing towards Yi Qing like crazy. However, Yi Qing was just like strolling in the courtyard, using the Bagua sword formation to protect his body and the 9 palaces sword formation to attack. The blood volume and mana volume are always in a perfect state. At this moment, the light from behind lit up one after another, and one of the professional team happened to be teleported to this area. He saw a small bright moon in front of him, hanging high in the sky, and monsters all around him were attacking like a tidal wave. They all exclaimed, "Who is it? How dare you be so blatant? The first level of Yinling Canyon is said to be full of ghosts. My guess is that it is Yi Qing. He is the only one who has entered this dungeon for the first time and does not understand the internal rules of the dungeon. Look, Mingyu is moving forward so fast. Yi Qing's strength is so terrifying." The others all showed bitter smiles. Yi Qing had just entered school and already had such strength. It took them 3 or 4 years to reach level 120, and they still need to form a team to confidently pass the level. Suddenly, one of the people in the team said, "We are following Yi Qing. If he can kill all the way to the dungeon boss, we can grab the boss by the way. If Yi Qing is exhausted, we can go up to help and pull him into the team. We can also break the record." Others nodded one after another. They had all reached level 120. They were all stuck on job transfer tasks and no longer cared about some experience. In front, Yi Qing holds Zhu Xian in his hand, slaying the sky and drawing the sword technique. A huge sword energy slashed in all directions, and a large area of ghosts was immediately cleared out. Continuing to walk forward, Yi Qing held the Immortal killing gourd and automatically picked up all materials and equipment. Looking at his experience bar, it is rising rapidly. Already reached level 42, 79%. With this leveling speed, after I clear the level here and go to the wilderness area to kill a few legendary bosses, I should be almost at level 46. Suddenly, the eyes of the ghosts around him suddenly turned red, and they began to stop moving, and they all looked up to the sky and roared. High in the sky, a red light fell, floating not far from Yi Qing, revealing his figure. It was a very charming woman, wearing a wedding dress that looked particularly gorgeous. But her eyes were cold. Behind, several people exclaimed, "Hidden boss, this is a legendary monster." Yi Qing looked at the woman in red and threw a detection technique. Ghost in wedding dress legend level 120. HP 55 million. Attack 19,000. Defense 26,000. Skills Dark Wind, Soul Seizing, Soul Capturing, Heart Changing. A sneer appeared in Yi Qing's mouth. Finally, a big experience package has arrived. In an instant, the sword heart is bright and the prehistoric body is opened. The terrifying momentum surged out, and the ghosts around him subconsciously took a few steps back. There was a flash of light in the wedding dress ghost's eyes, and she wanted to control Yi Qing directly. Yi Qing holds the Zushan sword in his hand, slaying the sky and drawing the sword technique. The huge sword energy slashed out, directly cutting the wedding ghost into pieces, and a terrifying figure floated up. Minus 32 million. Under the special effects of the sword light, this level 120 legendary boss was instantly killed. Yi Qing quickly closed the primordial holy body. Without Xiao Bai, the consumption was too great. Look at the properties panel for prompts. Kill the wedding dress ghost substitute and gain 3 million experience points. Yi Qing saw the substitute and glanced around. All the ghosts were still in a violent state. Roaring crazily, they rushed towards here. Illusion God swordsmanship. The 9 flying swords turned into 270 phantom swords. Like harvesting straw, these ghosts disappeared quickly. With the blessing of Hongchen Jijian, the attack increased by 1,350%. The bright state of the sword's heart has not yet been turned off, and the damage caused by the sword energy is extremely high. Yi Qing studied the skill of the wedding ghost, which should be the mind-changing skill, allowing her to enter the body of one of the ghosts. Suddenly, one of the ghosts made a sharp cry. You kill the wedding ghosts double and gain 3 million experience points. Congratulations on the upgrade. Yi Qing saw that there was another substitute, and it was also upgraded. A faint smile appeared on his lips. If you can continuously create substitutes, this experience pack seems to be pretty good, so grab it first. All the phantom swords around rose into the sky, trapped sky sword formation. Countless sword energy completely enveloped this place, and all ghosts were trapped in the formation. Yi Qing looked at the ghosts around him, all of them were trapped within a certain range. The Zushan sword flew back into his hand, slaying the sky and drawing the sword technique. A large number of ghosts died. Kill the double of the wedding lady ghost and gain 3 million experience points. The technique of cutting the sky and drawing the sword. Yi Qing was almost going crazy, and the ghost in the wedding dress was trembling. Until the end, there were still hundreds of ghosts left. Yi Qing held a white bottle in his hand and took these ghosts in together with the ghost of the wedding lady. The wedding dress ghost didn't even resist. Yi Qing carved a formation in the bottle so that no ghost could escape. He shook it directly and said, "Be my experience pack, otherwise you will die miserably." Throw the bottle directly into the immortal killing gourd. After clapping his hands, all the phantom swords around him disappeared, leaving 9 flying swords and countless sword marks floating behind him. Yi Qing looked at the vast space around him and couldn't see a single ghost, so he walked directly forward. The team of professionals at the rear were far away from Yi Qing, and they suddenly felt a wave of heart palpitations. They backed away crazily, fearing that Yi Qing would kill them all together. Watching the formations rise up all around, trapping all the ghosts. Huge sword energy flew out one after another, leaving deep marks on the surrounding stone walls. One of them swallowed his saliva and said, Yi Qing was too fierce. He directly killed all the ghosts in this area. Fortunately, he retreated quickly. This momentum is too terrifying. With such violent murderous intent, I am even afraid that Yi Qing will kill me. Well, should we continue to follow? One of them whispered. Follow? Why don't you follow? But we have to wait for 15 minutes before moving forward, otherwise it will be too dangerous. The danger he was talking about was not the monster, but the fear that Yi Qing would accidentally hurt him. Everyone nodded. Yi Qing walked in front, looking at the blue strip that he had bottomed out. Should I release Xiaobai? My reply speed is too slow, and taking medicine is not worth it. After thinking about it, I still didn't release Xiaobai. Yi Qing discovered his huge shortcoming. He was extremely lethal, but his attack speed was not enough. If the attack speed was enough, the wedding ghost would not have time to use her skills and would be killed by the sword. Ahead is a forest filled with mist, surrounded by willow branches blowing in the wind. The end of the first level of Yinling Canyon here. Yi Qing looked at these willow trees and cast a detection technique. Evil Devil Willow Elite Level 120. Blood Volume 320,000. Attack 3,800. Defense 5,600. Skills: Evil Mist, Dark Wind, Clone, Soul Capture. Yi Qing passed by other skills and looked at the clone skills. Clone. The entire forest is a clone of the evil Willow King. The main body is immortal, and these clones can recover quickly. Is this so? Yi Qing looked at the fog around him and thought of a way. Throwing a handful of monster cores in his hand, a strange formation formed in the air, and a steady stream of mist spewed out. Ghost Mist Formation. This is Yi Qing's improved version. It was originally just a Lord-level formation, but it was improved into a legendary formation. Monsters in the entire forest had damage numbers flashing above their heads. No matter how strong the evil Willow King is, he can't supply vitality for long. Come out quickly. A black bottle appeared in Yi Qing's hand, and he threw it directly into the eyes of the ghost mist, adding some excitement. All the evil willows around began to twist, looking extremely weird. Enhanced version of itching powder. Yi Ching threw out a few more bottles one after another, watching the evil willows twisting their bodies and the branches swaying around them. Just a minute later, all the evil willows began to wither, and the ground began to tremble, as if a huge object was about to break out of the ground. The ground cracked, rocks rolled around, and a towering tree quickly rose from the ground. The bark of the tree is full of twisted lines, which look like a person's facial features. Countless thick roots burst out of the ground and attack Yi Ching. Yi Ching clapped his hands, and the ghost fog began to gather around him, forming a fog giant. Rushing towards the evil Willow King, Yi Ching took the opportunity to check the attributes of the Ghost Willow King. Evil Willow King Legend Level 125. HP 82 million. Attack 16,500. Defense 54,000. Skills: Ascension of 10,000 Woods, Clone, Evil Wood Combat Body, Regenerative Power. Just when the Mist Giant and the Evil Willow King collided, Yi Ching opened the ancient holy body, and 9 flying swords floating behind him rushed out. Illusion God Swordsmanship. A series of dense phantom swords rushed towards Ghost Willow King. The fog giant dispersed directly, wrapping the entire body of the Evil Willow King and blocking the monster's sight. Hundreds of phantom swords were slashed out, and a series of injuries passed by. The Evil Willow King's huge body was directly chopped into pieces. Kill the level 120 legendary boss and gain 55 million experience points. Congratulations on the upgrade. Yi Ching held the Immortal Killing Gourd in his hand and collected the body of the Evil Willow King and the fallen items. Look at your level, level 44, 68%. As expected by Yi Ching, there was a small bottleneck between level 44 and level 45. If you plan to reach level 46, 99%, just eat 3 Tianling pills and kill a few monsters to reach level 50. Yi Ching walked forward, passing through the canyon, and saw a large peach blossom forest. There are girls in pink clothes playing in the forest, which is a harmonious scene. Of course, Yi Ching didn't believe this at all. A strange light flashed in his eyes. This should be the second level. I don't know how many levels there are in this Yinling Canyon. Turn on the phone, it's already 1:30 in the afternoon. Yi Ching sat directly on the grass beside him, took out a box of food in his hand, and ate by himself. After lunch, Yi Ching held the Zushan sword in his hand, followed by 8 flying swords, and his aura suddenly became sharp. Walking towards the inside of the peach blossom forest, these peach trees are just ordinary peach trees, not monsters. Yi Ching picked off a petal and placed it in the palm of his hand. Look at the properties of this peach tree. Mana peach tree, rare, the taste is very sweet, tender and juicy. After eating it, you can quickly restore your physical strength and slowly restore your blood volume and mana volume. I was thinking in my mind, should I dig up a few trees and plant them in the Hongmeng Pearl space, otherwise the Hongmeng Pearl space will be too empty. At this moment, several young girls, wearing pink tulle, with their beautiful bodies looming, came towards Yi Ching with smiles. Yi Ching threw an exploration technique. Charming Demon Elite Level 125. Introduction. Very good at charming, everyone will fall into the trap of gentleness without knowing it. Peach Demon Elite Level 125. Introduction. He is good at illusions. Everything you see may be fake. The attributes of the two monsters are not as high as ordinary ghosts. Chapter 91. Yi Ching did not hesitate and took a few steps forward, Xuanwang steps to the sky. His body was wrapped in a mysterious aura, invincible in the divine realm. Directly ignore all illusions and charms. 9 flying swords flew out in unison, slashing directly at these monsters with sword aura. You kill the peach demon and gain 9,000 experience points. You killed the succubus and gained 9,500 experience points. 9 flying swords flew back and floated behind Yi Ching. Yi Ching took a few steps forward, intending to collect the items dropped by the monster, and looked at the peach demon and the succubus. Without the blessing of illusion, she no longer looks like that young girl. She looks very ugly, with a dark and ferocious face. Pick up a few pieces of equipment and feed them all to the Immortal Killing Gourd. Yi Ching started to dig up trees, 1, 2, 3, etc. The soil was flying, and these peach trees were brought into the Hongmeng Pearl space. Monsters came from time to time, but they were all killed by Yi Qing. After digging for a full hour, the ground was full of potholes. Yi Qing drew a pattern on his hand and pointed at a peach tree. The peach tree was uprooted and then disappeared. That's almost it. These peach trees are enough. At this time, the professional team at the rear looked at the large pit in front and fell into silence. For a moment, I didn't dare to move forward. Yi Qing is so fierce, he even plowed down trees. In contrast, I want to know more about how Yi Qing attacked those Taoyao and charming demons. With the blessing of illusion, they are really beautiful. That's right. Could it be that Yi Qing really ignores beauty and destroys her with ruthless hands? Deep in the peach blossom forest, two beautiful women were leaning against each other, wearing very thin gauze clothes, and their pure white figures were looming. Yi Qing looked at these two humanoid monsters. Peach Blossom Demon King Legend Level 125. Charm Legend Level 125. It's really fun, but you still have to die. Yi Qing looked at the attributes of these two bosses. Their attack and defense were not too high, their HP was also average, and their main attack method was control. Mei and the Peach Blossom Demon King saw Yi Qing, twisting his graceful figure and walking towards here. 100 flowers array. Yi Qing snapped his fingers, and countless petals rained down from all around, forming a beautiful scene. Two legendary monsters were briefly trapped, and the sword heart and the holy body were opened. Illusion God Swordsmanship. Hundreds of phantom swords rushed into the 100 flowers formation and turned into petals among them. The two monsters, Peach Blossom Demon King and Mei, were rushing around, looking at Yi Qing with pink light in their eyes. Suddenly, they all screamed and blood oozed from their eyes. The immortal killing sword formation behind Yi Qing emits a faint light. Countless petals quickly fell off the two monsters, and two terrible scars appeared on their white bodies. The illusion was broken, and they all looked very ugly. Their whole bodies became dark and their fangs were bared. A series of huge damages passed by, -26.5 million, -31.3 million. The sword heart's brightness and the prehistoric holy body state add up to a 2,500% increase. There are currently 270 phantom swords. The red dust extreme sword has an additional attack of 1350%, and the Xuanwang Tiantian step has an additional attack of 150%. Moreover, each phantom sword can also trigger 5 additional attacks of the sword light. Yi Qing looked at the formation and saw that the two monsters were instantly killed with just 2 strikes. After that, more petals transformed from the phantom sword chopped the two monsters into pulp. Kill the level 120 Peach Blossom Demon King and gain 45 million experience points. Kill a level 120 Charm and gain 40 million experience points. Congratulations on the upgrade. Your flying sword Qishao is upgraded. Your Phaegian Zushan has been upgraded. Your Phaegian Yutian has been upgraded. Yi Qing saw that he had upgraded, and several flying swords had reached level 45. Clapping his hands, the surrounding formations dissipated and countless petals fell to the ground. Watch the two monsters drop items. 2 monster cores, a bead, and a ring. The ring was only a level 120 legendary equipment, and Yi Qing had little interest in it. Start looking at the properties of beads. Phantom bead, special equipment. All basic attributes plus 1200. Skills, transformation. You can change your appearance at will. If the opponent's strength far exceeds yours, you may be discovered. Illusion. You can use illusion to change the surrounding environment and make people fall into hallucinations. Yi Qing held this equipment in his hand and did not choose to feed the immortal killing gourd. Instead, he carefully put it away, maybe it would be used later. A huge lightsaber appeared under his feet, lifted into the air, and headed towards the depths of the dungeon. Looking at the Yinling Canyon at his feet, after passing through the peach blossom forest, we should be almost at the end. More and more sword marks appeared behind him. Yi Qing looked at the sword marks behind him and said, "The 100 flowers formation seems to be good. If you improve it, it should work well with the sword marks." 100 flowers array legendary endless flower petals appear inside, attacking the enemy while blocking the enemy's sight, trapping the enemy, and causing an additional 70% damage. The sword mark originally has 30% of its own damage. If it turns into flower petals, it will have 51% of its own damage. Yi Qing took out the core of the peach blossom demon and began to carve and modify the formation patterns. It took him half an hour to improve the formation. All the sword marks turned into petals of various colors, floating behind him. Every time the sword mark appeared after that, it would turn into petals flying in the air. As the huge lightsaber penetrated deep into the Yinling Canyon, the temperature here dropped rapidly and it was extremely cold. The surrounding environment began to change, and some monsters that looked similar to ghosts floated directly towards the sky. Attack Yi Qing. Yinling Elite Level 130. Yi Qing waved his hand forward, and countless petals flew forward, killing these yin spirits instantly. Kill the yin spirit and gain 13,000 experience points. Kill the yin spirit and gain 13,000 experience points. The remaining petals returned to Yi Qing. The huge lightsaber swooped down, then fell to the ground and gradually dissipated. Yi Qing activated the bright moon phenomenon, with 9 flying swords floating behind him, and walked forward. Countless petals fluttered in the wind, automatically locking onto the target and attacking the surrounding monsters. The surrounding environment is very dark, exuding a bone-chilling coldness, and there is a dilapidated building in front of it. There is a strong aura inside, and that's where the cold air comes from. Yi Qing casually grabbed a flying sword behind him and slashed towards the building. A burst of red sword energy cut open the building, and a huge humanoid monster stood there with its eyes closed tightly and its body tied with iron chains. Suddenly the monster opened his eyes suddenly, his eyes were red and full of violent light. Yi Qing threw an exploration technique. Cold Spirit Corpse King Legend Level 135. Isn't this the dungeon boss? It seems that I typed it wrong. Pointing towards this, countless petals flew forward and attacked. Yi Qing held the Scarlet Sky Sword in his hand, and at this moment the sword's heart became transparent and the holy body of the ancient world was activated. The technique of cutting the sky and drawing the sword. A sword light shot out and struck directly at the Cold Spirit Corpse King. Half of its body was cut off, minus 63.2 million. Even the special effect of the sword light was not triggered, and the monster was killed instantly. Kill the Cold Spirit Corpse King and gain 65 million experience points. Just as Yi Qing was about to collect the items dropped by this monster, he suddenly heard a roar of wind not far away, followed by a sharp cry. A beautiful figure wearing a blue dress flew towards here very quickly. Although this monster looks beautiful, his expression is very crazy. He kept shouting, "How dare you kill him? He is my husband. I will send you to hell." Yi Qing threw a detection spell to check the monster's attributes. Yinming Ghost King Rage State. Epic Level 140. Introduction. In this life, he is destined to love but cannot love. After his death, he has a lot of resentment. He has been wandering in the underworld looking for her husband's lonely soul. In the end, in order to relieve the loneliness, she refined her husband's body into a corpse. Blood volume. 650 million. Looking at the attributes of this monster, Yi Qing's eyes lit up. It seems that this is the dungeon boss. It should be legendary level when it is not enraged, but it turns into an epic level boss after being enraged. Suddenly some consciousness returned to the eyes of the Yinming Ghost King, and he looked at Yi Qing viciously. "You actually smell like that BCH, and you destroyed my husband's body." Floating in the air, her outfit became more and more fierce, but she did not launch an attack. Yi Qing was not in a hurry. He had already imagined a big drama. It seems that the ghost in wedding clothes has a story with these two people. Looking at the Yinming Ghost King, green flames floated behind her, attacking towards her. Yi Qing said calmly, "Time pauses. Baby, please turn around." Invincible Heart. Illusion God Swordsmanship. The surrounding flames floated in the air, and the cold air rising from the ground was frozen in this moment. 270 phantom swords turned into petals, and countless sword marks turned into petals, slashed towards the Yinming Ghost King. In just 1 second, the blood bar of the Yinming Ghost King was cleared, but she seemed to have a skill that could revive her, so she used it for another second. Yi Qing closed the primordial holy body and stood aside boredly, holding a fruit in his hand and gnawing on it. It's a pity that I underestimated my own damage. However, if I don't pause the time, I won't be able to compete with the opponent's speed. Time began to flow around. Yi Qing dropped the fruit core on the ground, and a series of prompts appeared. Kill the level 135 epic boss and gain 250 million experience points. Ding, the dungeon boss has died, and the dungeon will be completely closed in 10 minutes. Suddenly, a burst of green smoke floated from the body of the Cold Soul Corpse King, and a handsome scholar appeared. His figure was very erratic, as if he was about to disappear at any moment, and he knelt down directly in front of Yi Qing. He begged in a low voice, "I'm almost out of my mind. Please let me see Hongyu for the last time." A letter appeared in his hand and he handed it to Yi Qing. "This is the secret about this place. I have witnessed everything." Yi Qing was shocked and expressed his feelings calmly, thinking in his mind, could it be the secret of the formation of the copy? He put away the letter directly, and there was a sparkling bottle in his hand, and he pointed his finger at the mouth of the bottle. A beautiful woman in red clothes appeared, but her expression was very dull, as if she had no consciousness at all. The scholar's soul stood up excitedly, walked to the ghost in wedding dress, and just looked at it. Yi Qing was speechless, but said nothing. He collected the items dropped by the Yinming Ghost King, and then also collected the items dropped by the Cold Spirit Corpse King. Then he calculated the experience and chose to store 100 million experience in the sign-in system. The rest were all upgraded. Congratulations on the upgrade. Your Feijian Zushan has been upgraded. His own level reaches level 46, 98% in an instant. Yi Qing didn't care so much. 3 heavenly spirit pills appeared in his hand and stuffed them directly into his mouth. Suddenly, I felt a surge of heat in my body, passing through my limbs and bones. Then the property panel once again displayed a prompt, "Congratulations on the upgrade. Upgraded 3 levels directly." Yi Qing looked at his experience bar, level 49, 98%. "I am quite satisfied with the harvest this time, and I directly upgraded to 7 levels in this dungeon. There are still 100 million experience points saved, and now the check-in system has saved 700 million experience points." On the ground, a stream of yin qi emerged and transformed into the form of the Yin Ming Ghost King. Yi Qing held a sword in his hand and was about to kill him with one strike. But after reading her attributes, the sword was sheathed directly. A wisp of obsession, white, so weak that it can be blown away by a gust of wind. A sword box appeared behind him. He put away the 9 flying swords and stared at the countdown. Watching a dramatic scene, a scholar's soul and 2 female ghosts. The scholar's soul looked at that wisp of obsession with a complicated look in his eyes. "You haven't hurt me enough. Now I'm out of my mind and you're still pestering me." A breeze blew by, and that ray of obsession dissipated, but before it dissipated, a satisfied smile appeared on her face. The scholar's soul just looked at the ghost in wedding clothes, and his body became more and more illusory until he disappeared. Yi Qing walked over from a distance, a bottle appeared in his hand, and he put away the wedding ghost. "It's really boring. After the dungeon is refreshed, you will still see each other. The copy will be closed soon. Countdown to 9, 8. Yi Qing's figure turned into a ray of light and disappeared, arriving at the entrance of the Yinling Canyon instance. Looking at the ranking list, it gradually began to change. First, Yi Qing, clearance time, 10.5 hours. Second, Yei team, clearance time, 80 hours. Yi Qing walked directly towards the distance. If he hadn't rested for an hour at noon and then dug many peach trees, he would have been faster. Just as Yi Qing was leaving, a team of professionals appeared. This was the team following Yi Qing. Everyone had doubts on their faces. "We haven't even left the peach blossom forest yet, why have we passed the level?" "No, look at the racing rankings." One of them looked at the rankings with a dull look on his face. "Yi Qing is too fast. You must know that he is only over level 40, which is too strong. Don't forget, he has just entered school a few days ago, and we are already seniors. The differences between people are really huge." Yi Qing returned to his residence, sat on the sofa, and read the letter in his hand. Mysterious letter, white, there are many secrets recorded inside, but the material is too ordinary. The letter has been turned into a prop, so you don't have to worry about not being able to read the words. Looking at the contents on the letter paper, most of them were messy things. Yi Qing was not interested and kept reading until the last few lines. The sky suddenly turned dark, and the surrounding ground shook violently. A huge gap opened on the ground, and eventually the entire city sank in, and then he completely lost consciousness. After waking up, I found that I was trapped in a place called Yinling Canyon. All the methods I tried to get in were useless and I couldn't get out at all. He discovered an even more terrifying truth. Everyone was dead, including himself. The letter stopped abruptly here. Yi Qing took the letter and said, "These copies may be similar to Qingshui River, and there is a larger world outside." Yi Qing carefully put the envelope away and entered the Hongmeng Pearl space. It was late at night to plant all the mana peach trees. The lights in the research room are still on. It seems that Chen Hun is still staying up late doing research. Yi Qing took out a bottle and released the wedding ghost and a ghost. The Qishao sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed out with one sword, and the ghost in the wedding dress was instantly chopped into pieces. Kill the wedding dress ghost substitute and gain 3 million experience points. Another ghost glowed red and turned into a ghost in wedding clothes. Yi Qing released another ghost and slashed at the wedding ghost. Kill the wedding dress ghost substitute and gain 3 million experience points. Over and over again, the body of the ghost in wedding dress becomes more and more unreal. Congratulations on the upgrade. Currently level 50. If you don't complete the job transfer task, you will no longer be able to gain experience. Yi Qing looked at the job transfer task. Isn't this random? Draw it for me. Job transfer task is being generated. Start the job transfer mission and kill a demigod monster of any level to complete the job transfer. Yi Qing's eyes were calm. It's quite simple. It's just a flying knife that kills immortals. A bottle appeared in his hand, and he put away the wedding dress ghost. This substitute skill is a good experience package, so keep it first. Yi Qing threw the bottle in his hand into the immortal killing gourd and walked towards the area of exotic flowers and rare herbs. When I came to the center, I saw Xiaobai sleeping on the grass. He was surprised to find that Xiaobai was already at level 48. Yi Qing looked at the exotic flowers and herbs around him again. In just one day, the medicine had grown almost a year old. Xiaobai suddenly opened his eyes and turned into a white light and jumped onto Yi Qing's shoulder. Walking towards the research room, the lights there are still on. Entering it, a mechanical sound came out. "Welcome the master back, what operations do you need?" Yi Qing ignored the mechanical sound and walked inside. There were 2 petri dishes in front of Chen Hun, and there were some strange lights inside. He was still busy, flipping through a lot of research materials in front of him. Yi Qing walked forward directly and looked at the 2 vessels, his eyes gradually becoming serious. I thought to myself, could this be the embryo of a god, but it doesn't look like it. Chen Hun came to Yi Qing's side and explained, "This is the god's gene. It is the god's blood that Daxia obtained in the abyss. I extracted it from the blood. My latest research results are trying to fuse genes." Quote. Yi Qing nodded and didn't ask anything else. "If you need any help, just ask." "Yes, I found that the 2 gods' genes are not active enough. It is necessary to extract genes from the blood of some powerful monsters to feed the gods' genes." Chen Hun looked at these 2 utensils, his eyes full of enthusiasm, and said without any politeness. Yi Qing took out a dozen bottles from the immortal killing gourd and placed them on the table nearby. The contents were filled with the blood of the demigod-level monster Tongtianao. These are the blood of demigod monsters, and I used special methods to make them full of internal energy and activity. Chen Hun was immediately overjoyed, took a drop of blood, put it in a test tube, and began various studies. Yi Qing looked at it for a while and then left the research room. He really couldn't understand it. Looking at Chen Hun's hairline, he planned to go back and refine some elixirs to replenish his hair. Xiaobai gently rubbed Yi Qing's cheek, turning into a white light and returning to the exotic flowers and plants. After leaving Hongmeng Pearl Space, Yi Qing turned on his phone. It was already 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was no news, not even the news feed. Now that the college entrance examination is over, there aren't too many hot spots anymore. Searching the map on my mobile phone, I found that the distance from Kyoto to Linhai City is 1,500 kilometers, and it has to cross the wilderness, which is very dangerous. There are still 2 days left. It's best to arrive in Linhai City before the copy merges with reality. Yi Qing was very curious about the scene where a large copy merged with reality. The night was uneventful. The sky was slightly brighter the next day, and Yi Qing woke up directly. He snapped his fingers and directly used the power of time and space to leave Kyoto and come to the wilderness area outside the city defense formation. The surrounding area is desolate and overgrown with weeds. Not far away, there are some strange-looking monsters fighting each other, all of them at level 70 or 80. A huge lightsaber appeared under Yi Qing's feet, and Xiao Bai's figure appeared on his shoulders. Lifting directly into the sky, Xiao Bai's eyes flashed with light, and using illusion, Yi Qing and his lightsaber disappeared without a trace. Sitting on the flying sword, listening to the whistling wind, Yi Qing checked the map from time to confirm the direction. Looking at the mountains at my feet, they are covered with trees and dense grass. Every big mountain has a soaring evil aura, and there are countless monsters hidden inside. Continue to fly forward until the sun sets in the west and the sky is filled with red sunset. Sitting on the huge lightsaber, Yi Qing looks at the beautiful scenery. When the power of time and space is activated, it can be used 10 times a day. It was used twice in Kyoto and in the wilderness, and 8 times in total. Go straight ahead for 800 kilometers. As night falls, the sky gradually becomes dark. Yi Qing checked the map in his hand and said, "If nothing else happens, we will arrive in Linhai City at noon tomorrow." After that, he entered the Hongmeng Pearl space. Under the peach tree, Yi Qing took out the food and ate it. Then pitch a tent here. The Hongmeng Pearl space is absolutely safe, but Yi Qing doesn't want to go to the research room and disturb Chen Hun's research. Divine embryos are very important. According to the time period, it took more than 10 years for Chen Hun to develop artificial gods, but that was when all his resources were not sufficient. Now that we have the Interstellar Research Laboratory and Yi Qing's endless resources and funds, it should be much faster this time. At night, Yi Qing slept very soundly, and some mysterious auras around him penetrated into his body. When Yi Qing woke up in the morning, he felt comfortable and refreshed. Leaving Hongmeng Pearl space, came to the wilderness area, and continued flying towards Linhai City. Yi Qing sat on the huge lightsaber. The Hongmeng Pearl space is really magical. I actually subconsciously reject the outside world. Xiao Bai let out a soft cry. It was already level 50 and had only stayed in the Hongmeng Pearl space for 2 days. At noon, the sun was very high and the weather was very hot. Yi Qing stood on a hillside and looked at Linhai City not far away. This is a large city, close to the East China Sea, about the same size as Tian'an City, with a population of nearly 10 million. However, compared with a super-large city like Kyoto Magic City, it is still far behind. He snapped his fingers and activated the power of time and space. Directly entering the city defense formation, there are some residential buildings on the periphery of the city, and the interior is full of high-rise buildings. Yi Qing walked out of a dark alley and walked towards the city. There was a bustling scene all around and there was a lot of traffic. Yi Qing turned on his phone. June 31st, 12:32 noon. There is only 1 day left before this prosperous city will merge with the large-scale dungeon. In Linhai City, Yi Qing came to a hotel and checked in directly, and it was on the top floor. Leaning on the sofa, looking at the scenery outside the window, the blue sky and white clouds. Yi Qing was sitting like this, with a map of Linhai City on the table, with the distribution of the major forces drawn on it. The largest family in Linhai City is the Liu family, which has a level 250 professional, who is considered the strongest in Linhai City. There are also several smaller aristocratic families and some professional adventure groups. In addition, there are Linhai University and the army stationed on the seaside. These are the only forces in Linhai City. Most of them are life professionals without fighting ability. Yi Qing sat back on the sofa, closed his eyes, and thought about some details here. It was already 3 days after I learned the news. It was broadcast live across the country, and all nearby professionals came to reinforce it. In the end, the city was completely reduced to ruins, and many people died, like a purgatory on earth. As time passed, the sky gradually became dark. Yi Qing stood on the roof, blowing the evening breeze, and looked at the neon city below. Suddenly, something strange happened inside the body, and the power of time and space began to operate. At this moment, the surrounding space merged. Yi Qing looked at the sky. There was a crack in space there. It was so tiny that if he didn't have the power to control time and space, he wouldn't be able to detect it. After gently stroking his face, a black mask with spider patterns appeared on his face. A wooden sword appeared under his feet and flew directly towards the crack in space. Just as Yi Qing took off into the sky, several figures rode on the big bird and chased towards the sky. One of them shouted loudly, "Who are you? Flying is not allowed in the city. Come down quickly, otherwise we won't be polite to you." Yi Qing looked back and saw that these people were all wearing city defense uniforms. "Xiao Bai, control them." Xiao Bai's eyes sparkled with light, and the city defense troops could not move. The few manned birds were unable to retreat quickly under the pressure of Yi Qing's momentum. Yi Qing touched the place where the space rift was, and felt something being sucked into his body. The power of time and space in the body is slowly rising. The system prompt appears, the number of space shuttle usage times has been refreshed. Yi Qing retracted his palm, there are more important things now. The core of Tongtianao appeared in his hand, and countless monster cores appeared in the air around him. The monster core in the Immortal killing gourd was directly emptied. The cores of all the surrounding monsters turned into golden runes, falling towards the tall buildings below. At this moment, dozens of city guards flew toward Yi Qing on flying mounts. "Stop now, or we will attack. What kind of formation are you doing? Stop it quickly. For the sake of the harmony and comfort of Linhai City, I will not allow you to do anything that harms the citizens." Yi Qing was a little helpless, but did not explain. "Xiao Bai, control them." Xiao Bai nodded, a light flashed in his eyes, and everyone stopped immediately. The core of Tongtianao in Yi Qing's hand turned into the formation Eye. The formation started. Countless light spots floated in the sky, falling on these high-rise buildings like rain. The whole process lasted for an hour, and countless huge golden lines appeared in all the high-rise buildings in Linhai City. Yi Qing smiled calmly, "It should be no problem now. The super-large Guardian formation is integrated with the Phantom formation, and in conjunction with the City Protection formation, there should be fewer people dying this time." Seeing the cracks in the space above getting bigger and bigger, Yi Qing didn't dare to enter rashly. After gently touching Xiao Bai, the figure disappeared directly. In fact, he was still there, constantly absorbing the power of space. In the air, the dozens of city defense troops looked at each other. "We don't seem to be opponents, please report it quickly. We must figure out what this formation does. The formation covering the entire Linhai City is really dangerous." Suddenly, these people heard a roar, and the space cracks in the sky suddenly expanded. It has reached a range of more than 10 meters and is still expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye. Everyone was stunned. What is this? Go and sound the alarm throughout the city, and then request support from other professional associations. Soon, a city-wide alarm sounded over Linhai City, and everyone began to get into chaos. "Look at the sky, what is that? Is there a terrible monster attacking the city? Let's go home quickly." Yi Qing was right in front of the space rift. The power of space is becoming more and more violent and is no longer suitable for absorption. He looked at his power of time skill, which could be used to teleport 10 times a day, to 13 times, and the distance was much further. Suddenly, a pair of blood-red pupils appeared in the space crack, as big as a basketball. A snake head as big as a truck head emerged from the crack in space. Then the entire body came out, also red, hundreds of meters long, and slammed directly into the ground. Yi Qing looked at this monster and threw a detection technique. Kangling Blood Python Legend Level 200. Blood Volume 4.7 billion. Opening parenthesis. The level difference is too large and the attributes cannot be detected. The huge monster directly smashed a big hole into the ground, and everyone around screamed and ran around. Even some low-level professionals trembled when looking at this monster. Just as the monster rushed up and hit a building with its tail, it suddenly let out a sharp scream and rushed forward quickly. Everyone around him immediately noticed the clues. "Quick, run towards the building. This monster seems to be afraid of these golden runes." At the same time, several figures flew from a distance at high speed. They are the president of Linhai University, the head of the Liu family, and the general of the coastal garrison. They are all powerful men above level 200. This big guy is not easy to deal with. We old guys may not be opponents, but we should try our best to delay the arrival of reinforcements. But what I'm more curious about is, what is that space crack in the sky? That man appeared in the sky before and set up a large formation, which reduced a lot of casualties. He may know something. Several people stood in front of the giant python and used various powerful skills. From the rear, the city defense troops rushed towards here in dense numbers, protecting the incompetent people and retreating. At this moment, the space crack in the sky suddenly expanded again. It has reached a range of 2 kilometers. Some small monsters appeared from the cracks in space and crashed to the ground one after another. Seeing the increasingly urgent battle situation, several old men became anxious. However, they discovered that the monsters that fell to the ground were cut into 2 pieces and died in the air. Just when everyone was shocked, a huge sword light attacked and killed the giant python. A huge blood mark appeared on the giant python, and blood sprayed in all directions. Immediately afterwards, the wound deepened 5 times in a row. Several huge numbers floated up. -120 million, critical hit 148 million. A huge sword light directly cut off the giant python's massive damage. Yi Qing stood in the air and watched all this. A level 200 legendary monster has too much health. Illusion God Swordsmanship. The 9 flying swords behind him transformed into hundreds of phantom swords, and then these phantom swords turned into petals of various colors, falling like rain, and went towards the giant python to attack and kill. The beautiful scene stunned everyone present. These petals are extremely sharp and can directly kill the giant python. Illusion God Sword technique triggers the passive of Red Dust Sword, and the damage is directly increased by more than 10 times. Yi Qing received a system prompt. Killed a level 200 legendary monster Kangling Blood Python and gain 300 million experience points. Store the experience in the sign-in system. 1 billion experience has been saved now. The petals below did not dissipate, but rose into the sky one after another, rushing into the huge space crack. Yi Qing frowned. The moment these magic swords entered the spatial rift, they were completely destroyed. It may be that the violent space power destroyed the fantasy sword, or it may be that there is a more terrifying monster on the other side. As the cracks in space become larger and larger, an endless stream of monsters appear from within. However, there have never been 2 powerful monsters, but they are as numerous as the ocean tide. Yi Qing fell from the air to the ground. The old men beside the giant python all stepped back to kill other monsters. Collect all the items and corpses dropped by this monster. Yi Qing held Yudian in his hand and was fighting the monsters on the other side. Until 5 o'clock in the morning, the sky was slightly brighter and the surrounding darkness faded. The space rift in the sky has expanded to hundreds of miles, almost covering most of the city. The shrouded building began to twist strangely, and one after another quaint buildings appeared out of thin air all around. The most important thing is that someone came out from inside, but I couldn't understand what they said. The entire Linhai city fell into chaos, with countless monsters and people from another world. Yi Qing looked at this scene. This is the dungeon merging with reality. Why does it feel like another world has arrived? But fortunately, the people in that world are also resisting the monsters. Yi Qing walked forward, with countless petals behind him, extremely lethal, almost a one-sided massacre. But he is still alone after all, and this city is too big. Some residential buildings and shelters were crowded with people. Everyone was looking at the scene outside, trembling. They are all life professionals. They can't even upgrade, and they have no combat effectiveness at all. In a shelter, in a dark corner, a few people with strange eyes gathered together. This city is in chaos, it's great. Let's gather everyone in the abyss quickly to cause more damage. Kill these flies first, it's so noisy. One of them was exuding a trace of black energy and had a dagger in his hand. Rush directly into the crowd and start killing. Above the East China Sea, there is a huge monster with several figures standing on its back. The garrison in this place has been withdrawn. Let's go see what's going on. The monster came to the coast, quickly became smaller, and fell into the hands of one of them. These people arrived near Linhai City and looked at this scene with blank faces. This is the arrival of another world. Let's gather more people. There are unimaginable benefits inside. A few people did not enter rashly, but kept praying in one direction. They are members of the Abyss Society and have the same nature as the Abyss Society. They are also traitors to the human race and have all taken refuge in foreign gods. It will be crazier and more twisted than the Abyss. However, the foreign land is on the other side of Blue Star, not bordering Daxia at all. The center of Kyoto, the headquarters of the Professionals Association, immediately sounded the alarm. All the senior officials were discussing things in the conference room. Something happened in Linhai City. Now the 10 war gods are defending in the abyss, and they can't leave at all. Let's discuss a countermeasure quickly, otherwise many people may die later. First summon the strong men near Linhai City to go, and then we mobilize the Eastern Theater to support. I'll ask a few level 300 experts to take action. With their speed, they can reach Linhai City in 2 hours. Everyone started to get busy. It was approaching noon at this time, and the entire Linhai City was wrapped in a huge space crack. The surrounding environment began to distort. Yi Qing was sitting on the roof of a tall building, with blood dripping from behind and a pile of corpses piled behind him. Unexpectedly, only a few ordinary people were killed by monsters, and more people died at the hands of members of the Abyss Society. These corpses were all members of the Abyss Society. Yi Qing's eyes were full of indifference. He had been fighting for 12 hours continuously and had accumulated another 100 million experience points. With 2 portions of food appearing in his hands, Xiaobai jumped aside and ate on his own. Yi Qing ate half of his meal when he suddenly felt a chill and looked above his head. A terrifying scene appeared. The space cracks began to gradually shrink, and the surrounding area began to become brighter. A spider web enveloped the entire Linhai City, with a huge bloody spider lying on it, its huge body covering half of the sky. Yi Qing ate the rice in his hand and looked at the attributes of this monster. Blood God Spider Myth Level 120. Blood Volume 46 billion. Question mark. Yi Qing finished the last bite of his meal and saw that he still had 1.1 billion experience points. Otherwise, if you sign in and kill this big guy, you will definitely get more than 2 billion experience points, and you can also get mythical equipment. Suddenly, Yi Qing saw a man wearing a blood-colored cloak appear above the giant spider. Looking at everything below indifferently, the ascension ceremony was successful, but this place doesn't look like a fairyland. Among the ruins, a young man with a decadent face stood up tremblingly, covered in blood, holding a golden sword. Looking at the blood god spider in the sky, a wry smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It still failed. What kind of place is this? Yi Qing looked at the attributes of the 2 people. The character on the head of the bloody spider has a colorful name, which represents a mythical character. Blood Demon Myth Level 300. Question mark. Look at the attributes of the boy below. Ling Tian Demigod Level 300. Question mark. Suddenly, Yi Qing felt a terrifying momentum rushing towards him. At this moment, he activated the power of time and space and traveled hundreds of kilometers away. Then enter the Hongmeng Pearl Space. The building where Yi Qing was originally located was hit by a bloody light and turned into ruins. The blood demon above the bloody spider looked down. You're just an ant, and you dare to peek at me. In the Hongmeng Pearl Space, Yi Qing sat on the ground, his back soaked in cold sweat. Xiaobai also collapsed to the ground. He is indeed a level 300 mythical powerhouse, but it would definitely be great if he could kill him. There was a ruthless look in Yi Qing's eyes. Start signing in, setting goals, one-time powerful props. Sign in 40 times in a row and 200 million experience points will be cleared instantly. Sign in successfully and get the world-killing cannon. Sign in successfully and obtain the charm of the trapped god. Sign in successfully and get the soul-severing blade. Sign in successfully and get the extinguishing bomb. Get the meteor cannon, the strange curse. World-destroying cannon, super god. It is divided into 2 modes, destroying the world and destroying the world. The cooling time of destroying the world and destroying the world is 10 years, and the cooling time of destroying the world is 100 years. God Trap Talisman Myth, a one-time item that can trap the enemy for half an hour after use and disappear after use. Soul Cutting Blade Demigod, a one-time item, which destroys the source of the opponent's soul after use and disappears after use. Extinction Bomb Special, a one-time prop. After use, it will directly destroy the space within 100 miles, causing a huge space storm, which will disappear after use. Note: use with caution, the space storm does not distinguish between friend and foe. The power behind them is much weaker. Except for these 4 strongest items. There are also epic props like the meteor cannon and strange curses, and the rest are all blank slate props. Yi Qing looked at these items, and then looked at the check-in system which still had 900 million experience points. Start signing in, directional sword weapons. Sign in 40 times in a row, and 200 million experience points disappear instantly. A series of prompts appear. Sign in successfully and get the Immortal Killing Sword. Sign in successfully and get the Human Emperor Sword. Sign in successfully and get the Magic Sword, Shira. Sign in successfully and get the Evil Sword, Divine Punishment. Get Wooden Sword X36. Yi Qing ignored the following prompts and drew one of the Immortal Killing Sword formation with 200 million experience points, which was a huge profit. However, the Immortal Killing Sword is still a first-level blank slate and still needs to grow. Now that the war is imminent, Yi Qing doesn't plan to equip it yet. Check the attributes of the other 3 flying swords, Human Emperor, Shira, and Divine Punishment. Human Emperor Sword Mythology. It is destined by destiny, there is a spirit inside, and you can choose the master by yourself. Demon Sword, Shira White, can grow, a killing sword that can be advanced by absorbing blood. It has boundless demonic nature inside. If the mind is not strong, it will directly become a puppet of the sword. Evil Sword, Heavenly Punishment White, can grow because there is an extremely powerful sword spirit inside. It is so powerful that the sky cannot tolerate it, and thunder will rain down all the time. Yi Qing looked at the introductions of these flying swords. They were all extremely powerful flying swords. But when I saw the Human Emperor Sword, I felt a little helpless. This sword doesn't seem to have chosen me. Forget it, let's feed it to the Immortal Slaying Gourd later. He took out the 3 swords and the long sword floated in front of him. Just to hold the hilt of the Human Emperor Sword, he encountered huge resistance. Yi Qing's eyes turned cold as he took out the Immortal Killing Gourd and said, "Things that cannot be controlled should be destroyed." The Human Emperor Sword trembled slightly, but still did not surrender. A strange light flashed in Yi Qing's eyes after thinking for a moment. I still put away the Human Emperor Sword, but sealed it with countless runes, which may be used in the future. Looking at the other 2 flying swords, Shira and Tianshu, although they are called Demon Sword and Evil Sword, they are very honest in front of Yi Qing. Yi Qing took the initiative to hold the 2 flying swords without any resistance and was very obedient. What on earth is going on? How come the promised Evil Sword, the Sword of Divine Punishment, is gentler than the righteous and awe-inspiring Human Emperor Sword? After identifying the 2 flying swords directly and putting them away properly, Yi Qing sat on the ground and thought for a moment. Could it be that they are incompatible with each other? I don't have the common people in the world in my heart. A bitter smile appeared on his face. The experiences in my previous life were so rough and painful that I couldn't even care about myself. What does the world have to do with me? It's good to have strength in this life, not to be blackened, and not to have a twisted mind. Why are you thinking so much? First kill the blood god spider and then kill the blood demon. Yi Qing looked at the world-destroying cannon. This thing is used to fire the blood demon. It will kill you or make you cripple. Then the Immortal Killing Sword formation and the Immortal Killing Flying Dagger will come up to greet you. Xiaobai was taking a nap on the side, a little drowsy. Yi Qing grabbed Xiaobai and left the Hongmeng Pearl space. A crack in space appeared, and a figure appeared in the wilderness 100 miles away from Linhai City. Watching all the monsters running around like crazy, they are all moving away from Linhai City. Looking at the huge spider in the sky in the distance, there is a golden dragon beside it, and the terrifying momentum collides with each other. Yi Qing snapped his fingers and used the power of time and space to directly enter Linhai City. At this time, in the sky, Zhao Chengqin, the former dean of the combat department of Kyoto University, and the heads of the 4 major families in Kyoto, Yi Tianxing, Shengguan Ding, Nangong Jing, and Long Tang. There was also a young man with a golden sword, Ling Tian, and several people joined forces to confront the blood demon. Long Tang stood on top of a huge golden dragon and shouted loudly, "I think we can talk. This is Daxia, and strong people from other worlds like you are welcome to join. Stop talking about it. You still don't know what he did. He blood-bathed hundreds of millions of creatures just to complete the ascension ceremony and become an immortal. Let's join forces to kill him." Ling Tian shouted loudly at several people, looking at the blood demon with eyes full of hatred. Zhao Chengqin pulled Ling Tian aside and whispered, "We are trying to buy time to allow the ordinary people below to evacuate here. Otherwise, if a war breaks out, we don't know how many people will die. Ling Tian's eyes flickered and he nodded slightly. It's not easy to leave. The spider web is highly poisonous, unless you kill the blood god spider. Suddenly, the entire Linhai city changed again, and golden light began to rise from the ground, merging with the city defense formation, directly bursting the blood god spider's web. Zhao Chengqin was also slightly startled, then smiled and said, "Look. The cobweb is broken." The blood demon's eyes condensed, and he was about to take action, but as if he thought of something, a little bit of blood appeared behind him and flew into the sky. A group of combat professionals below cleared the way, and the life professionals quickly followed and evacuated Linhai city in an orderly manner. Several strong men in the air were staring at the blood demon, ready to take action at any time. The blood demon's eyes were extremely cold, and he just stood on top of the blood demon's head, looking up at the sky. He murmured to himself, "What went wrong? Why did I break through the space barrier and end up in this place?" Just when a group of people had just left Linhai city, a huge monster flew from the other side of the sky. The body is covered with dark and ferocious barbs, and there are several figures standing above the head. Zhao Chengqin looked at those people, his aura surged, and his whole body was filled with blood-colored aura. How dare the Ability God Society come to Daxia? Once you come, please stay here forever. A bloody long sword appeared in Zhao Chengqin's hand, flew directly into the sky, and rushed towards the huge monster. A bloody sword energy slashed out, as if it was about to tear the sky apart. One of the members of the Ability God Society had a sneer on his face. "Zhao Chengqin, you are so trusting. This exotic magic eagle is a 300-level demigod monster." The monster spread its wings and directly blocked the bloody sword energy. Zhao Chengqin's eyes burst into red light. "It's just a demigod-level monster. It's not like I haven't killed it before." A bloody beast appeared behind him, and its aura was somewhat similar to that of the blood demon. Fight directly with the exotic magic eagle. In Linhai city, among the ruins, a faint light flickered, attacking Yi Tianxing directly. A colorful shield appeared behind Yi Tianxing, blocking the attack. A middle-aged man wearing a mask walked out of the dim light. He had a gloomy aura, and looking into the past was like mud. "You are a member of the Abyss Society. You deserve to die." Yi Tianxing's sword suddenly became sharp and he rushed towards the middle-aged man wearing a mask. At this moment, the blood demon suddenly rose up, a blood-red river appeared in the sky, and countless blood beads shot out. Long Tang shouted, "No, everyone, please be careful." The divine dragon swung its tail under its feet, directly blocking the attack. Behind Nangong Jing, the sky-burning flames appeared and attacked the blood demon. Shangguan Ding disappeared directly, intending to sneak attack the blood demon. Facing the attack, the blood demon smiled calmly, and his body was submerged in the river of blood. "You guys are not even qualified to hurt me." Under the sunlight, the entire Linhai city was dyed blood red. Among the ruins not far away, Yi Qing looked at these battlefields. The golden dragon and the blood-colored spider were fighting, and the huge blood-colored monster was fighting with a big black bird. It's getting really messy. That's what makes it fun. In the end, he decided to help Zhao Chengqin first. That kind of skill is a blood-burning skill at first glance, and he will definitely not be able to last long if he fights with his life. At this time, Zhao Chengqin's face was getting older and older, and there was a desire to die in his eyes. "Let's see if I can take you away before I die. Even if I die, I will still protect Daxia Wuyu." The people above the alien demon eagle had sneers on their faces. "If you want to kill the alien demon eagle in exchange for your life, I believe you can, but we are not just decorations. Goodbye, go stay with your brother." Several members of the Ability God Society chanted spells, and a huge ball of light appeared in the sky, exuding an extremely terrifying aura. Zhao Chengqin was still entangled with the exotic demon eagle, unable to dodge this attack at all. At this moment, he vaguely heard a voice, "A mortal killing flying knife." A sword beam that was about to cut through the sky flew from nowhere and struck directly on the head of the alien demon eagle. A character floated up, "Kill with one hit." Yi Qing held the immortal killing gourd in his hand and collected the body and dropped items of the exotic demon eagle. Directly use the power of time and space to take Zhao Chengqin away from here. The huge ball of light crashed down, and the ground collapsed into a large circular pit that was bottomless. Several members of the Ability God Society looked at each other. A man wearing a mask killed the exotic magic eagle and took Zhao Chengqin away. What should we do next? One of them looked at the blood demon and said, "Back off, let's take action rashly. Daxia and this monster might join forces to deal with us." The black cloaks behind the people swayed slightly and disappeared directly in place. On a hillside hundreds of miles away from Linhai City, Yi Qing appeared directly with Zhao Chengqin. Seeing that Zhao Chengqin had passed out, Yi Qing quickly checked his condition. Zhao Chengqin, dying. A Huishan pill appeared in his hand, and he stuffed it directly into Zhao Chengqin's mouth, and then put his fingers on his wrist. Yi Qing frowned. I was supposed to live for 2 years, but now after fighting like this and hurting my origin, I only have 1 year to live. Looking at Zhao Chengqin's rapid recovery, he will wake up within a minute. Yi Qing directly used the power of time and space to return to the vicinity of Linhai City, watching the battle while watching the harvest. Kill the exotic demon eagle and gain 5.1 billion experience points. Complete the job transfer mission, enhance professional skills, and understand the unparalleled sword intent. Understand the skills of martial arts and golden body. Yi Qing took out 3 flying swords to kill Immortal, Shira and Heavenly Punishment. Choose to save 3.3 billion experience in the check-in system, and then choose to upgrade all other experiences. Congratulations on the upgrade. Your Phaegian Zushan has been upgraded. Your flying sword killing Immortal is upgraded. Your flying sword Qishao is upgraded. Your Phaegian Yutian has been upgraded. Your flying sword Shira upgrades. Your flying sword and divine punishment has been upgraded. Your pet 9-tailed fox has been upgraded. Yi Qing only reached level 56 in the end. All 6 flying swords reached level 56, and Xiaobai also reached level 56. Looking at the properties panel, I felt a little helpless. I now have 6 flying swords that can grow into flying swords, and a 9-tailed sky fox, both of which require experience to upgrade. Looking at the blood demon in the distance, his eyes were shining. A level 300 demigod had billions of experience. If it is a level 300 mythical monster, the experience gained may exceed 1 million. The battle in the distance became more and more intense. Yi Tianxing had already eliminated the members of the Abyss Society and joined the battle. Yi Tianxing, Long Tang, Sheng Guanding, Nangong Jing and Ling Tian all attacked Zue. The golden divine dragon on the side pressed down on the blood god spider and beat him. The blood color all over the blood god spider became even richer. However, the golden divine dragon was also poisoned, and a strange blood light shone on its golden scales. The aftermath of the battle collapsed all the buildings, and the entire Linhai city was in ruins. There were stumps and broken arms everywhere, and rivers of blood. There were still some remaining people and monsters below, screaming and then being crushed under the rubble. Yi Qing watched from a distance. A level 300 expert is really powerful. If I don't use my trump card, there is no way I can be my opponent. A huge and ferocious cannon appeared next to him, a super god level prop, a world-killing cannon. The muzzle of the gun was pointed in the direction of the blood river. No. These strong men are extremely fast and cannot aim at all. Yi Qing reluctantly put away the world-killing cannon. Although it is powerful, it has bigger flaws and is not as convenient as the immortal killing gourd. Not far away, a shadow appeared silently on the ground, and then gradually separated from the ground. It turned into a short figure wearing a black cloak. Yi Qing frowned slightly. They are members of the Abyss Society again. These guys are really haunting. The man in black robe walked towards Yi Qing and made a clear and melodious voice, which was very pleasant. I don't think you are a good person. How about we join forces to destroy them? Yi Qing was a little speechless, but looking at his own clothes, he looked similar to the other person. Wearing a black coat and a black mask, there are evil spider patterns on the mask. A sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he said disdainfully, "Who do you think you are? You are just a reptile from the Abyss Society. You are worthy of cooperating with me." Unexpectedly, the other party was not angry. Okay then. A vague shadow appeared under his feet, and he was about to disappear into it. Suddenly, blood-colored formations appeared on the ground, turning into countless thin blood-colored lines, tying the opponent tightly. You are indeed not a good person, and you secretly set up a formation here. Yi Qing walked to the front and directly grabbed the black robe. A girl of 14 or 15 years old appeared with a very delicate face, blood-colored pupils, white hair, and extremely dull eyes. You are a ghost, you are really looking for death. The Shira sword appeared in Yi Qing's hand, black demonic energy surged around his body, and a terrifying and ferocious shadow appeared behind him. He didn't even bother to use the exploration technique. All aliens deserve to die. He simply slashed out with his sword, the sky-destroying drawing sword technique. A black sword light shot out into the sky. The moment the sword energy was about to hit her, the ghost girl disappeared without any warning, leaving no trace behind. Yi Qing sheathed the long sword in his hand, there were beads of sweat on his palms, and he let out a sigh of relief. He just saw the other party's attributes. Liu, myth, level 300. You can't see other attributes at all, but you can see a name. With its own strength, it is no match for him. It seems that the other party is not hostile, but we can't be careless. Yi Qing did not have the slightest fondness for the Abyss Society and the races within the Abyss, and he would kill them without hesitation when he encountered them. The figure disappeared in place. The moment Yi Qing disappeared, the ghost girl Liu appeared on the spot, looking at the place where Yi Qing originally stood. It's strange why he has the aura of ghosts on him. A smile appeared on her delicate face, and she had already memorized Yi Qing's aura. At this time, the battle in the sky became more and more intense, everyone was panting and covered in blood. The clothes were soaked in blood, and the golden dragon's huge body was covered with blood, and it had been deeply poisoned. The blood god spider did not enter the blood river and disappeared into it. Several people were very anxious. Long Tang was panting, we can't break this bloody river at all. The blood demon has not lost any blood now. Our state is almost at its limit. Blood-colored light continued to spurt out from the blood-colored river, attacking several people. The blood demon looked at several people with a trace of blood in his eyes. The blood river formation has been integrated into me. If you cannot break the formation, you will never be able to attack me. I'm not in the mood to play with you anymore, go to hell. Become my nourishment. The blood river began to surge, and countless rivers of blood-like water stirred up, bursting out with terrifying light, and the sky for thousands of miles around was dyed blood red. At this moment, a white-haired girl appeared in front of the blood river, holding a purple dagger in her hand, and cut away the blood with one strike. The blood demon's eyes began to become solemn, and he looked at Liu with a somewhat wary look in his eyes. He could feel that this girl was a strong person of the same level as him, much stronger than the trash before. Liu looked at the blood demon with strange eyes. I can help you reach a higher realm, but only if you surrender to me. Long Tang and others looked at this scene and all looked at each other. With a look of reluctance in his eyes, if the blood demon defected to the ghost clan, Daxia's garrison in the abyss would be even more difficult. The blood demon just looked at Liu. If you have a way to advance, why are you still stuck in this situation? I don't believe you. Liu smiled calmly. It's up to you whether I believe it or not. If you refuse, there will be no place for you in this world. The blood demon thought for a moment and was about to agree. Yi Qing, who was standing below, looked at this scene and clapped his hands. Time pauses. Yi Qing looked at the blood demon's still full health bar. After fighting for so long, not a drop of blood has been knocked out, and the defense has not been broken. The waiting was very boring, and I thought about letting these people kill some of the blood demon's health bar, but I didn't expect that it would not work. Yi Qing set up the world execution cannon and aimed it at a location in the blood river, where the blood demon had just spoken. Destroy heaven and earth. Burst. The entire blood river was shattered by this cannon, the surrounding space began to collapse, and the space cracks covering Linhai City appeared again. Two terrifying numbers floated up, -999.9 billion and -999.9 billion. Kill the blood god spider and gain 6.2 billion experience points. Kill the incarnation of the blood demon and gain 1 billion experience points. Yi Qing saw that it was the incarnation of the blood god. He looked around and saw no sign of the blood demon. When did the blood demon escape? After putting away the items and corpses dropped by the blood god spider, Yi Qing didn't even have time to check, as the time pause was almost up. The Zushan sword formation was activated, and the ghost girl Liu was at the center of the Zushan sword formation. Yi Qing looked at the girl with some doubts. She doesn't seem to have any killing intention towards me. Is it not good to just kill her like this? Forget it, the big formation has been set up. If we don't slash her a few times, the execution of the immortal killing sword formation will be in vain. Countless sword energy struck Liu one after another, causing hundreds of billions of damage in 1 second. Yi Qing looked at Liu's health bar and saw that it was still half full. The next second, Liu's health bar bottomed out. The Zhoushan sword formation was cancelled by Yi Qing, the formation diagram flew back into the body, and 4 flying swords floated beside Yi Qing. Yi Qing engraved the formation on her body, directly using the core of the blood god spider, seal it first, and then give it to Chen Han to study. The surrounding space began to flow, a strong wind blew, and the entire Linhai city smelled of blood. The heads of several big families looked at this scene in stunned silence. The blood river disappeared, and the blood demon was nowhere to be found. In the air not far away, a masked man was carrying the ghost girl. Yi Qing glanced at the clan leaders calmly, then disappeared in an instant and entered the Hongmeng Pearl space. When he came to the research room and saw Chen Han still looking at various materials, Yi Qing was a little speechless. This is simply a research madman who works 24 hours a day. Chen Han watched Yi Qing walk in and put down the materials in his hands. Although he looked a little tired, his eyes were full of excitement. The genes of gods grow very fast. I expect that within half a year, preliminary embryos of gods will be formed. Yi Qing nodded, and a strange container appeared in his hand, containing the blood of the blood god spider. This is the blood of mythical monsters. You will extract the genes here and use them to feed the genes of gods. Chen Han's eyes were full of enthusiasm, and he was about to continue working and directly took the blood container of the blood god spider. Over Linhai City, the space cracks are getting bigger and bigger, and the inside seems to be connected to another world. The people below were extremely anxious. What should we do? If the dungeon fusion range is larger, it will be troublesome to cover nearby cities. Actually, I'm more curious, who is the person who defeated the powerful ghost clan and the blood demon? Long Tang stroked the golden dragon scales of the divine dragon, his eyes full of doubts. At this time, a terrifying figure appeared on the East China Sea, and the huge Kanghai evil dragon fled quickly. Heading towards Linhai City, the terrifying figure looked at the coast of Daxia with fear in his eyes. A burst of black mist flashed by, and the huge figure turned into a human form, an evil man with a cold and evil smile on his lips. Watching the Kanghai evil dragon stir up wind and waves, he quickly fled towards Linhai City. The space cracks above Linhai City are getting bigger and bigger, and the space here is inherently unstable. Another shot from the world execution cannon directly exploded the space, and dark space cracks hung in the sky. One after another, black space cracks gradually expanded. A black hole appeared, and a man in a white shirt walked out of the black hole with a faint smile on his face. It's a bit troublesome that this place is so badly damaged. A strange wave of power appeared behind him, and the cracks in the surrounding space were healing visibly to the naked eye. The people below looked at the man in white with surprise on their faces. Long Tang asked, God of War Chutian, aren't you guarding the abyss? Nothing is happening in the abyss now. I went to explore the mysterious copy of Shizhong a few days ago, and I just came out now. Chu Tian said calmly that he was most interested in all kinds of weird things in his life. Every time an unknown copy appeared, he wanted to explore it. In just 10 minutes, the space cracks healed quickly, and the sky was blue and cloudless. Chu Tian made an action that surprised everyone. He pointed his finger, and a white fire flew towards the East China Sea. There are still some remaining monsters below, and there are still people alive in the ruins. Go rescue them quickly. I still have something to do. Chu Tian turned into a stream of light and flew quickly towards the west. He would continue to explore the unknown. A ray of blood flew from a distance, and Zhao Chenkin looked at the devastation on the ground, with wreckage and ruins everywhere. He sighed, after all, I have never set foot in that field in this life, and there may be no hope in this life. Above the East China Sea, a white flame directly turned the Kanghai evil dragon into ashes, and then flew towards the Cherry Blossom Kingdom without losing momentum. Finally, it hit the head of a huge figure, and the head exploded directly. There were originally 8 huge heads, but now there are only 7 left, and they turned out to be one of the sacred beasts of Sakura Kingdom, Yamata no Orochi. A head was destroyed by Chu Tian, the god of war of Great Sha, with a casual finger. The other 7 huge heads of Yamada no Orochi roared crazily, Chu Tian, Daxia, I will not let you go. In the Hongmeng Pearl space, Yi Qing stood in front of a huge glass vessel. There is a white-haired girl standing in the vessel, it is the girl from the ghost tribe. Now her health bar has bottomed out and she has been sealed by Yi Qing. Chen Hun, do you think the ghosts in the abyss have the same organs as ours? Why don't you try dissecting them? Chen Hun walked over from the side, let's think of it as the next project. Now I only think about the god-making project. Yi Qing nodded and turned to look at Chen Hun, looking at the pair of tired but determined eyes. I want to believe you and give this to you. He held a card between his fingers and handed it to Chen Huan. Chen Hun took it blankly and looked at the name of the item and the career advancement card. His pupils shrank suddenly. If you put this kind of thing in an auction house, people will buy it for billions. Are you sure you want to give it to me? He was filled with excitement. This thing was something that could change one's fate. Even the status of a life professional and a combat professional were completely different. Yi Qing patted Chen Hun on the shoulder, research carefully and don't think too much. After saying that, he walked towards the door of the research room. Looking back, he saw that the career advancement card in Chen Hun's hand had disappeared and he started to get busy again. Yi Qing came to the center of the exotic flowers and plants and looked at the 7-color mist flower and the flower of dreams, which had now sprouted buds. Xiaobai jumped off his shoulder, curled up on the ground, and dozed off. Okay, you won't be needed in the next battle. Xiaobai can level up in the Hongmeng Pearl space, and he will gain experience points by following him around. Let Xiaobai stay here for the time being. Yi Qing was thinking as he walked towards the peach blossom forest and looked at the stored experience. Sign-in system 11.2 billion 1 million. The sign-in system can be upgraded, requires 10 billion experience, and sleeps for 240 hours. This system upgrade will actually take 10 days. Yi Qing looked at the sign-in system prompts. After thinking for a while, nothing happened in the next period of time. Start system advancement. The system is being upgraded. All functions will be unavailable for the next 240 hours. Yi Qing watched the system go to sleep and took out the items dropped by the Blood God Spider. Blood God Suit Myth can be equipped at level 120. Effect of one piece. All basic attributes plus 150,000. 3 effects. Attack speed plus 1,800%, movement speed plus 1,800%, attack plus 1,800%, defense plus 1,800%. 5 pieces of effects. Blood River Vision. As long as the blood river does not dry up, one's own life will be endless, and the vision can be used to attack and defend. Yi Qing looked at this mythical suit. Well, I originally thought that the demigod suit was strong enough, but I didn't expect that the mythical suit would be so powerful. Especially the last Blood River Vision, Yi Qing saw its power with his own eyes. The blood demon fought with several powerful men for a long time without losing a drop of blood. In the end, he used his avatar to escape directly. Check out the skills acquired after changing jobs. The Xuanwang Tizun profession acquires martial arts golden body skills. Martial arts golden body LV1, a self-phantom appears behind you. As its strength increases, its size gradually becomes larger. It is currently 30 meters tall. Attack plus 2200%, defense plus 2900%, lasts for 120 seconds, and has a cooling time of 12 hours. Unparalleled Sword Intention passive LV1, with a single thought, all things can be transformed into phantom swords. The number is unlimited and the cooling time is 24 hours. The route has been determined for the first job transfer, and every subsequent job transfer will be enhanced on this route. Yi Qing looked at the 2 skills. They were both very powerful skills, and both were ultimate moves. Not bad. Now that he had 10 skill upgrade cards in his hand, Yi Qing considered upgrading those skills. Upgrade the power of time and space, and one sword will light up 19 continents. The power of time and space is the second upgrade and requires 3 skill upgrade cards. Special effect skill. One sword of light and cold 19 continents is the second upgrade and requires 3 skill upgrade cards. Yi Qing didn't hesitate at all. Upgrade. Seeing that there are 4 skill upgrade cards left, upgrade the sword heart translucent. the Ancient Saint Body, the Red Dust Extreme Sword, and the Invincible Heart. Upgrading. Upgrade successful. Seeing that several skills were successfully upgraded, Yi Qing was very satisfied and opened the skill list. Power of Time and Space. The power of time and space in the soul is enhanced, and the time pause lasts for 180 seconds. 22 long-distance displacements can be transmitted to any location within 800 kilometers. It can locate space mapping points and travel through space at will. You can change or hide all your attributes, hide your breath, and change your body shape and appearance at will. Cooling time is 8 hours. Yi Qing looked at the increase in the power of time and space. It's not a loss. With 3 skill upgrade cards, time can now be paused for 3 minutes. Yijian Guanghan 19 continents. Special skills. There is no consumption, and it has 2 special effects, Sword Light and Sword Marks. Sword Marks. The movement speed is increased by 240%, 30 sword marks appear under the feet when walking, 30 sword marks are obtained per second in the sword-wielding state, and 100 sword marks are directly obtained by killing any monster. The sword marks can transform into entities, causing 45% damage to the target. They will actively lock onto the target and attack. When there is no target, they will automatically follow behind them. There is no upper limit on the number. Sword Light. The attack speed is increased by 80%. When attacking an enemy with the sword, 7 sword lights will be generated, and the additional damage will be 180%, 150%, 120%, 90%, 70%, 50%, and 30% of the damage. Seeing the improvement of Yijian Guanghan 19 continents, Yi Qing nodded. The sword marks gained more, and the additional damage of the sword light also increased from 5 levels to 7 levels. Bright Heart of the Sword additional state consumes 10% of mana, increases all attributes by 2000% within 1000 seconds, ignores enemy defense, including gods, ignores shields and other skills. Prehistoric Holy Body. After opening, the blood burning effect will be activated, all attributes will be plus 3000%, and 0.5% of the blood and blue will be dropped every second, lasting 600 seconds. Red Dust Extreme Sword passive skill, your own consciousness is attached to the sword. For each additional phantom sword, your own attack, defense, and speed increase by 10%, with no upper limit. Invincible Heart. Every time you kill a monster, attack power plus 2%, can be stacked 1800 times, and the burst time is 240 seconds. Looking at several other skills, the attributes have doubled. This improvement in strength is really huge. It's a pity that there are only 10 skill upgrade cards in the system mall, otherwise I really want to buy a few more. Yi Qing sighed, but he was also very satisfied in his heart. Now his strength has increased tremendously. An item was taken out from the Immortal killing gourd. It was a treasure map that exploded from the Lord of the Mist. There was an undiscovered super large copy inside. Now that we're done with Linhai City, let's go take a look inside that dungeon. When I turned on my phone, it was already 10 p.m. on July 2nd. After not sleeping for 2 days and 2 nights, Yi Qing was still a little tired even though he didn't lose any blood. He got into the tent in the peach forest and began to fall asleep. Early the next morning, Yi Qing got out of the tent and said, "It's really nice here. Let's build a wooden house later." There are many rooms in the research room and the spaceship, and the facilities are complete, but Yi Qing doesn't like the mechanical sound. After walking around the Hongmeng Pearl space, Xiaobai was sleeping among the exotic flowers and plants, while Chen Han was still doing research and extracting the genes of the blood god spider. Yi Qing threw a detection technique at Chen Han to see what kind of profession he had become. Chen Han. Level 1. Occupation. Origin Creator. What is this for? Is it an auxiliary job? Seeing Chen Han extremely busy, Yi Qing did not step forward to disturb him. Leaving Hongmeng Pearl space, Linhai City was in ruins. A group of professionals are working on the rescue and are constantly digging through the ruins. Yi Qing looked at the sky. The cracks in the original space disappeared. I thought to myself, there must be a strong demigod coming. I didn't expect the world-destroying cannon to be so powerful. There was a cry not far away, not good. A bloody giant lizard emerged from the ruins and roared to the sky. It's a level 100 legendary monster. Let's quickly form a formation. Please be careful. Soldiers from several teams surrounded the bloody monster and used various skills in coordination. His eyes were full of caution. At this moment, a red sword energy flew from a distance and cut the monster into 2 pieces. Yi Qing returned the scarlet sky sword to its sheath and walked forward. Someone in the rescue crowd recognized Yi Qing. It's Yi Qing. He just ranked 10th on the heavenly ranking a few days ago. He actually killed 100 legendary monsters with one sword. What kind of strength is this? Yi Qing ignored the sounds around him and grabbed the core of the bloody monster. Place it directly on the ground, turning into countless formations and blending into the ground. The surrounding boulder ruins slowly floated upward, revealing the corpses and monster corpses below. Everyone around looked at each other, and one of them came back to his senses. Rescue quickly, it will be much more efficient. All of them were professionals, and their physiques were all astonishing. They quickly rescued dozens of people who were still alive. Yi Qing spent the whole day helping with the rescue. Until the sunset, Yi Qing sat on a huge rock and watched the sunset fill the sky. All around was the sound of muffled cries and wails of pain. In this terrible era, weakness is the original sin. In the wilderness, there are no human beings left, and there are countless members of the Abyss Society hiding in the city. Behind Yi Qing, a young soldier was sighing with a meal in his hand. Yi Qing turned around. What's your name? What you said seems to make sense. My name is Zhang Zan, I am a soldier in the Linhai city garrison. This is your meal. Yi Qing stood up. Under the tide of the times, only the strong can survive. He took the meal and walked away. Zhang Zan looked at Yi Qing's back, thoughtfully, and finally sighed, maybe. The next morning, several waves of teams came from afar, all of them students from Dongtu University and Tito University. The speed of rescue suddenly became much faster. Yi Qing stood on a huge rock and looked at the Imperial University team. There were several acquaintances among them. Nangong Ru was worried, lowering her head and not knowing what she was thinking. Mirong Shui's eyes were full of loss, and she was a little downcast. Yi Ling came directly to the boulder, came to Yi Qing's side, and asked, "Brother, when did you come here? I couldn't get through when I called you." Yi Qing pointed at Nangong Ru and Mirong Shui. What's wrong with them too? They seem to be out of place with the others. I know something about this. The Shangguan family recruited Mirong Shui, but Mirong Shui rejected it. Then the Shangguan family sent several freshmen from SS-level professions, wearing epic suits, to challenge Mirong Shui one after another. In 3 days, Mirong Shui was defeated 13 times in a row. In the end, she was defeated by a student of the same level as an S-level professional. She was so shocked that she couldn't recover. I don't know about Nangong Ru, but I guess it is due to internal reasons within the family. She is currently caught between the Nangong family and the Long family, and her situation is a bit complicated. Yi Ling explained on the side, while looking at the ruins of Linhai City, this is too exaggerated. After all, there have been so many brutal battles here, and my father was seriously injured. Stop looking and go help. Yi Qing engraved formation patterns on his hands, and huge boulders continued to float around him. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.